helps to know when we're rolling. What's this?
It's me singing Jingle Bells, but I don't know if we're going to get flagged for it. So.
Oh my God.
Da, 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 da,
You're so festive.
I am.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. Happy Festivus for the rest of us, everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm
Are
in my
you a
Siena
Seinfeld
hat.
person?
I am.
Yeah, that tracks.
Didn't we talk that there's like, listen,
Friends, people,
trigger
and Seinfeld
warning.
people?
Yeah,
Yes.
friends are,
Yes.
friends are Seinfeld
Yes.
people.
Yeah.
And
Never
we
seen a full
decided,
episode of Friends.
me either. And that's why
This
I
is
think
why
we
we're
get
friends.
along. You know, and there's something for everybody. It's
just
definitely
not
not
for
for me. But yeah, Seinfeld for sure.
Yeah.
It's our holiday season episode.
It
I'm in this
is.
another like egregious hat again. I feel like we were talking about how this is like the 4th episode where I'm just wearing something stupid.
Yeah, I feel like hats are becoming our thing, which is
I know.
It's funny in my movie spoiler alert, during the conversation about abortion.
Yeah.
I turned to the person I was watching with and was just like, I fucking hate her hat. And they're like, that's what you're getting out of the scene, Siena?
There are some fits in yours.
There
Let's
are
be so for real.
some choices.
Yeah,
But
there are some
if
choices
I'd-
made.
If I'd had a fluffy pink beret to wear in, I would have done it. However,
I know.
I didn't.
There were some outfits that I was like, Siena's gonna come in like that.
I wanted to, and then I told you that there was a story behind my outfit. It's unfortunately that I had,
outfit?
I found out that I do not own a single item of yellow clothing. Not a one. Not a goddamn one.
That checks. My
Yeah.
wardrobe's like black, red, and then I think I have like one white thing.
Yep. Yep.
And then that's kind of it.
Yeah, I have a lot
kind
of
of my
cool
color palette.
colors.
Yeah.
Don't have a single
So
yellow.
funny. We try.
We tried.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm just in a stupid Santa hat, which like nobody wears in the movies. So, welcome back.
Yeah, to Splice Splatter, the film podcast presented by the Jean Cocteau Cinema in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where classic horror
It's modern gore
and
and. Oh, I know. I'm going to announce it now because I don't know
Yes.
how many of you make it to the end of the episodes, or if you leave the
Honestly, smart.
movies surprised for the
Yeah.
like a surprise for the next one. But we a little teaser of what we're doing for next episode is interview with a vampire, and we will be playing it at the Jean Cocteau Cinema here in Santa Fe. So
I believe the dates for that are January 17th to 19th.
Yeah.
It's a Friday through a Sunday.
yeah, tickets are already on sale at jeancocteaucinema.com, so you can get them there and come see. I feel like everyone's favorite vampire film on the big screen.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And we'll save what we're pairing it with. to
Yeah,
the end
you'll
of
have
the
to go to
episode.
the end for that.
Yeah,
So
that-
that's all you
your
get.
Reward.
That's your that's your little present. Your little holiday present.
Yeah. Aw, so cute.
But yeah.
And
Where do we go from here?
Oh God! Well, I'm going first,
Yes,
so
yeah.
I guess I'm leading us in. Oh, what are we talking about today, Al? What
I
are our
am
films?
so excited about these two. We're doing I'm doing Krampus from 2015, which makes sense.
Which makes perfect sense. Which was
Yeah.
your choice.
It was my choice.
Yeah, what were we originally talking about? We were originally going to do Silent Night, Deadly Night. I think,
Yeah,
which
which-
also looks really good.
It looks really fucking good, but I felt like they were like two of the
They're very
same.
similar, so I feel like maybe that'll be next year's holiday
Yeah,
special.
yeah,
'Cause it
actually.
seems really good.
Yeah.
The poster alone looked very.
The poster
alcoded.
alone
Yeah.
looked so fucking sick.
Yeah. The one we're referencing that felt similar to that is I'm doing 1974's Black Christmas.
Yeah.
Directed by Bob Clark, who also did A Christmas Story. Yeah.
No.
Yes.
That's amazing.
The Bob Clark.
Holy
so
shit.
he's got some feelings on Christmas.
Yeah,
does
no
this
shit.
man.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He's like, fuck you all for playing this a million times.
Literally. Well, and it's especially weird because I thought he did A Christmas Story first. No, he did Black Christmas first and then A Christmas
He
Story.
pulled a Peter Jackson.
Yep. He pulled a Peter Jackson, everybody. So, anyway, that's what we're covering.
Yeah, I'm excited about these.
Do you have a tid
Actually,
to tee us off?
let me see.
tee off
Let me
tid.
see if it's a tee off tid. Let me see if what's my password?
Read it out live
No,
on air.
I lied. I thought it was. It's not. So I'm gonna put that right back. I don't have a tid today.
I love that
Yeah,
for you.
sorry.
Well, I have two.
Oh, perfect.
I kind of had a feeling
Can you
this would
just
happen.
share one of those and I'll give
Perfect. Just pass my
Yeah,
phone
can you
over
just-
to
yeah.
you.
Can you share your notes? Can I copy your
Great,
homework?
great. Oh, so the only thing I don't know where I knew this story from, but the only story that I knew about Black Christmas beforehand. Wait, no, I probably do know where I know the story from.
It's all coming to you now.
I'm a big Steve Martin fan.
Yes.
Yeah.
We
I-
both are.
I think that
You might be more. I'm sensing.
I have so many feelings on Steve Martin, everybody. I think he is like one of the greatest minds of our time.
Yeah.
I think he's a genius. Like, not just in comedy, just like in life.
Yeah,
I think he's a genius human being.
Yeah.
Have you read his autobiography, Born Standing Up?
I'm not a big reading, but I want to watch his documentary.
Ooh, I have not seen the
I
doc.
can't read autobiographies
for
reasons.
I listened to it on Audible, and he's the one reading it.
Oh, okay. See, I could do that on a road trip for sure.
Yeah.
He's got a great voice.
I just think he's like a world-class banjo player.
Mm-hmm.
And I just can't say enough about how much I love
seems like
Steve
he
Martin.
lives the richest life in the ways it's like isn't monetary. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like not celebrity
he's-
rich, but just
he's
like in life rich.
doing the things that bring him joy.
Yeah. You can feel that.
Yeah,
I
that
love
man is
him.
living his best life, and we could all
Truly.
learn a couple lessons
This
from
has
him.
just turned into a
Sorry. Tidbits. Sienna loves Steve Martin.
It's just a Steve Martin podcast now. Sorry, guys.
So anyway,
we had a good run.
God, yeah, this is the episode that kills us. So all of this to say, I'm like a Steve Martin fanatic, which I think is the reason that this is the only story about Black Christmas that I know. So Olivia Hussey met Steve Martin when she was auditioning for the movie Roxanne, which she's in. Ends up she's not in the movie, but she got pretty far in the audition process. And when she meets Steve Martin, he's like, "Oh my God, you were in one of my favorite movies of all time." And she assumes that he's talking about the Zeffirelli version of Romeo and Juliet, which is the movie that she's famous for. She was Juliet in that when she was like 15 or 16.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
It was hugely controversial. We have the poster for it in our office, actually. So we walk past her every day, which I didn't realize.
Oh my God.
But she assumes that it's like this famous adaptation of a Shakespeare play that she did. And he's like, no. Black Christmas is my favorite movie. I've seen it 27 times.
Oh my God.
Which like
that's amazing.
Yeah. So
he's a fan of horror. I had no idea.
Which like completely tracks for him too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, which brings me to, I went into this movie expecting like good 70s cheese, you know? Like, because I'd heard that this was like one of the prototypical slasher movies.
Yeah.
Came out the same year as Texas Chainsaw. It's very much like in that zeitgeist. I was not expecting this to be like brilliant filmmaking.
I knew there was some shot again. It's just like I watch these films now and I'm just like, well, Siena's gonna love this.
I ate
it was
that
very
shit up.
Yeah, a lot of the shots actually. It was less cheesy than I thought too.
Yeah.
It actually, I mean, I don't want to get really into it before we get, but like it like kind of genuinely scared me.
Yes, me too.
You know? Which I wasn't expecting.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'll hold that.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway,
Tid 2. Oh my God, I love
Tid
that.
2. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I got wildly distracted here. This happens to me anytime I talk about Steve Martin.
Yeah.
I just don't think the world appreciates him enough. And the world appreciates him a lot.
Yeah, but not enough. I agree.
Not enough.
I agree.
Okay. So this one is an al-coded tidbit.
Oh, I love when you do these.
So as I just kind of referenced a little bit, this is considered one of the first like true slasher movies, which was again one of the only things that I knew about it going in. And it's interesting because there's not a lot of like stabbing or slashing in this movie, comparatively speaking.
Yeah,
That's
not
not the
blood
way
at all,
most
even.
of. That's certainly not the way the most memorable kill happens.
Yeah,
I'll put it that way. However, in 2017, Complex Magazine actually named it the second best slasher of all time after Halloween. Pace named it third best after Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street, which, of course, both of those came after Black Christmas. And what I'm teeing up here is that there's this comparison being made between it and Halloween. In fact, it was actually a conversation with Bob Clark, director of Black Christmas, that sparked John Carpenter's idea for Halloween 4 years later. Here's a quote from Bob Clark.
Oh, shit.
I never intended to do a sequel to Black Christmas. I did a film about 3 years later, started a film with John Carpenter. It was his first film for Warner Brothers. He asked me if I was ever going to do a sequel, and I said no. I was through with horror. I didn't come to the business just to do horror. He said, well, what would you do if you did a sequel? I said it would be the next year. The guy would have actually been caught, escaped from a mental institution, go back to the house, and they would start all over again, and I would call it Halloween. Yeah.
I don't have words for that. Do people know that?
I don't think so. Which, like, again,
That's
this is
wild.
if you take Bob Clark's word for it, but it makes
True.
sense.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna dig into that one
thought you might
more
like
because
that.
that's so cool.
Well, and
I hope it's true. It sounds
yeah,
right.
Well, and it makes sense that, they were around at the same time.
Yeah.
It completely, and because these are two classic, like horror around the holidays stories, it makes sense that if you're Bob Clark and you're thinking about what's the sequel to Black Christmas,
Yeah.
Halloween.
Yeah. Wild. That's so funny because honestly, when this ended too, I was like, did they ever make a 2?
Right?
It was like my first response because I'm like so interested in where this goes
compelling,
after.
especially because the mystery isn't solved.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Oh my God, that's an amazing tidbit.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah,
Yay.
that's so cool.
Oh,
Travis's face too was jaw on floor.
Yay, that makes me so happy. I love it when I can get a good owl reaction from a tid. So, okay, I feel like now that we've got our tid set up, tell me about your reaction to this movie. Because after I finished watching it, this was maybe the hardest time I've had not immediately, talking to you about it.
Oh, wow, really? This one?
I loved it so much.
Yeah, it's very you.
I don't
mean that. I mean it's just like so you that it's like wild. Have you seen it before?
No.
Okay, so I hadn't seen it before either. Yeah. I want to say I don't even know if I've seen the poster. I feel like I've heard of it, but I had no context of what decade it was made in and stuff like I feel like
I didn't
is that
know.
talked about? And I guess Christmas horror is a genre I haven't dipped my toe in. Which now absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of just started off it's so 70s.
It's
that house is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
The wallpaper?
Oh, everything.
I want all of it.
Oh yeah, I could move in. I'm just gonna go back in time.
Attic and all.
It was truly, honestly. I kind of love the attic. It was so much funnier than I thought it was gonna be.
It's hilarious
and raunchier in a way that wasn't it's cheesy, but again, I expected worse cheese.
Yeah, no, it's very. It's clever.
It's
comedy
clever, yeah.
too.
And I think having the women be portrayed in the way that they were was really fun and felt powerful in a way. But yeah, oh my God, fucking what's her name? The house mom. Killed me. God, she's my favorite.
What a
Barb.
Icon. Yes. Also, we have a cameo. Not even a cameo. Aunt Vula from My Big Fat Greek Wedding. She's in this. She's the one with the curly hair. Yeah, that's Aunt Vula.
I fucking knew her from somewhere. I just kept calling it. I just said she was my favorite lesbian the whole time.
So true.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That makes so much fucking sense. Also, no one fucking talks about My Big Fat Greek Wedding. It's one of the few DVDs I owned in high school.
I'm obsessed. No, she's the one who...
She was great.
She my twin.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's her.
Oh my God, you're coming up with so many bits for me. I don't know what to say after that. I said she needed so many more lines.
Oh my God,
I loved that character. It was
so queer coded.
Yeah. yeah.
Delightful.
The whole even I was her and Barb definitely dating.
Oh, 100%.
But yeah, it was. Again, I was expecting more of a slasher. That element of the voice on the phone freaked me out. It was so gross, and the
disgusting.
changing of the voices, which I'm I don't know if you have information, but
I do.
It is it just one? I just was I
have a lot of voice tids.
I loved. Yeah, I don't know. I was really, really pleasantly surprised and happy with it, and yeah, I loved it. Yeah, I don't know. It was great. What about you? Well, obviously you loved it.
I'm obsessed. I don't know why I'm asking you guys. Yeah, no, I found it so much funnier than I expected.
Yeah, it was really funny.
I thought the narrative construction was really fresh. I loved the way it ended.
Yeah, the ending was
perfect.
I mean, holy fucking shit! It was a great ending,
and so terrifying, and so not what I expected.
Yeah,
and
the cop also was amazing. Which he's, I think he's the dad in Nightmare on Elm Street.
He's the lieutenant in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, lieutenant. Yeah. He's really hot in this.
And you know what else you might recognize him from?
What?
2001: A Space Odyssey. He's the one who's asking how to open the pod bay doors, I believe. He's
shit.
Dave.
I gotta
He's Dave in 2001. Yeah.
It's been a long time. But yeah, he was really hot in this. And also, I don't want to say he was just hot. normally that character is really easy to hate in
Yes,
films, and I
yeah.
really did feel like he was
He
trying.
was trying, which makes it all the more horrifying.
Yeah.
That he's so, you know, he's not going to succeed.
Yeah. I think that's the thing too. Like the hope is lost.
This is a really bleak horror movie, and I love that.
Yeah.
It's bleak and funny.
Yeah.
And that's...
It's such an interesting... It was a really interesting combo of things that I was not expecting. I thought it was going to be straight up slasher and Christmassy
I thought
and
there
camp.
I thought there were going to be many more kills. I thought it was going to be much gorier. I didn't think it was going to scare me as much. I didn't think it was going to make me laugh as much.
Yeah.
And I didn't think it was going to be so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, the way they shot the interior of that home was so cool. I just feel like you don't see... I feel like there's a lot of films... I just wish sometimes we saw space as a character a lot more in films. Especially in something like this where it predominantly takes place in this home.
Yeah, and I'm going to propose, I think that this is probably something, and I haven't seen anything confirming this, but just from watching it, I was like, this feels like something David Lynch watched for Twin Peaks, because the way that Laura Palmer's staircase is shot in Twin Peaks...
True.
Like... It just, it's so reminiscent of some of the framing in
funny.
this. And particularly, like, the way they're playing with, like, the light coming through the banister. It really, that kind of, like, house
It just made you
horror.
immediately think. Yeah. Love that.
Yeah.
That's
So,
fun.
glad you enjoyed it, too.
Yeah, both these were a ride.
Oh,
I loved
my
it.
God. So, let's dive in.
Yeah. Let's do it.
So I
so
brought
many
in,
questions.
oh my God, so many answers. This one, there was actually quite a bit of information behind the scenes, which is great.
It was a gamble sometimes.
Especially for 74, low budget, from Canada too.
Okay, Canada. That makes sense.
It feels, there's like something about it that you're like, this isn't.
Yeah, I was like, the architecture is too pretty to be America. For one. Yeah, there was like actual culture happening. So,
also, some of the explicit stuff that gets said on the phone, like the fact that, can we say cunt? The fact that the character says cunt, I think is like, that feels like a Canadian film.
You know where I pegged it? Is someone said a boot. And I was like, oh, Canada, that makes sense.
That tracks.
And it was like midway through the film when I was trying to figure out the whole entire time, like, where is this? Because it felt very European.
Yeah.
And then as soon as that, I was like, that makes sense why it has this European influence, why like there's a certain accent. So
well, and Olivia Hussey, the main actress who plays Jess, has like a little bit of a British accent too, which throws it off too. So that's
I could not peg her accent. Was it British?
She is. I think I want to say she's like British and Argentinian or something. British and
yeah, that's what we.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So, so she has like a combo accent, which is going to be even harder to place.
Yeah, her little voice is so cute.
I loved her. I
thought she was
wonderful.
It's also like I love it because she, we follow her. But like she was soft about being this like, and I feel like you don't see a lot of. It's like, oh, if they're going to be like a final girl or they're going to be like whatever, they're either tough or they're like fumbling. Like I just felt like there isn't a girl like her.
She's so real.
Yeah.
Like she didn't feel like she has to be that. I think part of what you're talking about is like when I think of characters like Sally from Texas Chainsaw or Laurie from Halloween, like there's this like tough as nails quality to them of like, no matter what you do, I'm not going to break.
Yeah, but you don't have to be that.
Yeah. And she's like, she feels very fragile at this moment, which makes sense for what's going on for her character.
Yeah.
And she still fights for her life. And I loved that.
Yeah, she's like, I have other like issues going on right now. This almost feels secondary to me.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Which, like, I have to say, I hated Peter so much more than the killer.
Oh, same.
Like, he's the true villain of this piece.
He creeped me the fuck out in so many fucking ways.
Yes.
Also, why are you breaking through glass doors like that?
Yeah, like I don't think that he is Billy, the voice on the phone, but I also think that she was right to kill him.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, he deserved that.
He absolutely deserved that.
I was like, that's fine.
Yeah,
If you're talking like that to somebody,
good for
wild.
her.
Yeah,
good for her.
Got one villain, one villain down.
Yes, yeah. Okay, so. I brought in some taglines for you.
There's more than one. I love this.
I mean, I know there's a couple here that you've seen because I saw you put one of them on the poster. Was "Have Yourself a Scary Little Christmas."
Yeah, that one's cute.
There's also.
Forgot I did that.
Love that for you. A little refresher.
Thank you.
The one that I've seen used the most that I actually thought is a really effective, disgusting tagline.
Ooh.
If this movie doesn't make your skin crawl, it's on too tight.
Ooh, ew.
Isn't that disgusting?
Get the fuck off. Person space. Yikes.
However, I also have a whole bunch that are
Ew.
terrible.
I don't want you thinking about my skin as like a separate thing from
It's
my
on
body.
too tight now.
Yeah, that's gross.
Gotta loosen that skin up a little bit. Okay, you ready for some bad ones?
Yes.
He knows when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows. ...
I have a similar one for Krampus.
I feel like all Christmas horror, there's
They just copy
a
paste.
series.
Yeah, he knows.
Yeah. There's, oh my God, all of these are
It's a
just
good stopping point.
terrible Christmas ones.
Yeah.
The sort of Christmas you don't dream of. Oh.
Sugar plum fairy stands in your head. How about serial killers?
Truly. I have two more awful ones for you. It's beginning to look a lot like bloodshed. And
I actually really like that.
I kind of like it too. And I think the funniest of all.
Okay.
Christmas is coming early this year. And it's murder.
Those are so funny. Look. And it's murder.
There's nothing even clever about that.
They're so good.
It's so bad it circles right back the fuck around.
Get me in the...
It's beginning to look a lot like bloodshed.
Oh, bloodshed. I combined the two, murder.
That too. That'll be the one for Krampus.
That was the one that didn't get approved.
Truly. Okay, all right. Pull it together,
Oh my
Siena.
God. Those are great.
Ooh, okay.
I love that
Glad
they
you
have
enjoyed
multiple.
that.
Oh,
Merry
my
Christmas,
skin's too tight. My
everybody.
cheeks are hurting.
Gotta loosen it up. Okay, cast. We have Olivia Hussey, such a cool name.
Yeah.
As Jess Bradford. She's Juliet in the 68 Zeffirelli Romeo and Juliet, as I mentioned, the one we have a poster for in our office. She's also in the 1990 It miniseries. She's Audra in that. And she was Norma Bates in the TV movie Psycho for the Beginning, which I've not seen.
I gotta
but
go
thought
down the
I
rabbit
should-
hole of like, I've never seen anything past
Past-
first.
yeah.
Psycho. It's just so good. I don't
It's
need
so
anything
good that
else.
I don't want to destroy it,
Yeah.
you know? And I know none of them are good.
Yeah, but Anthony Perkins is in that, like the other one. So like,
yeah.
I feel like.
And I would watch him do
Also, I think I just
anything.
burped into the mic. I'm so
Good.
sorry, y'all. I was like, wait, we're being recorded. Apologies.
Oh my God. We have Margot Kidder as Barb. She was Lois Lane in the 78 Superman.
That's why she looks so familiar. Whoa.
She had a really fascinating career. Also just a fascinating
Wild
human being.
Juxtaposition of characters. I am
Truly.
surprised that when did this come?
74. So she was in this before Superman.
Wow. Okay, that makes sense. Because I was like, I don't know that time that they would
Let you do, yeah.
Because Lois Lane is like, I don't know.
So like pure and
Yeah,
virginal, and
yeah.
stories from behind the scene are that for all of the scenes where Barb is drunk, she was actually drunk on set.
I made that joke. And then I said the kid's actually
Yeah.
drunk too. We said the kid's actually drunk.
Honestly, it kind of seems like
I mean, shit, if she's actually
If she
drunk,
is,
that
yeah.
kid looked a little goofy.
that kid did look a little goofy.
Oh my
yeah.
God, stop. What a time, the 70s.
Truly. She was also in Brian De Palma's Sisters, which I love. And she's Kathy Lutz in the OG Amityville Horror, which I think we should cover sometime. We also saw her recently as Laurie's therapist in Halloween 2. The Rob Zombie one.
Whoa.
Yeah.
She's so good
Full
in that
circle.
role too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh my
Completely unrecognizable.
God.
But
Truly, right?
Yeah. Margot
Okay, I'm
Kidder,
glad I'm
everybody.
like, no way. That's
also-
that's
yeah.
sick.
Also just a really cool person. She was like an early mental health advocate, was really open about her bipolar diagnosis and like did a bunch of activism around it.
That's awesome.
Interesting human being. We have, I'm probably going to mispronounce his name, but Keir Dullea. It's Dullea.
Delay.
Delay.
Yeah.
Keir.
We had a delay on
We have
that.
Keir. Oh, damn it. Keir's Peter. He was also, Dave
Peter?
in Space Odyssey, which is the performance that Bob Clark cast him in this off of, which is kind of hilarious. He's also in Bunny Lake is Missing, which is an underseen but really creepy movie that I love. Want to recommend.
Bunny Lake.
Bunny Lake is missing.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it a lot. And he's also he's one of those actors who has continued to have a career, but it's sort of shifted. So I just wanted to shout out that he was also in the 2014 movie Infinitely Polar Bear, which is like one that I've heard of but not seen. So if you're watching modern
if you're a fan,
movies, that was like the only one that I could recognize the name of on the list.
Right. Huh.
John Saxon as Lieutenant Ken Fuller. He's also Roper in the Bruce Lee movie Enter the Dragon. He's FBI agent Stanley Chase in From Dusk Till Dawn, which I did not recognize at all, but truly a lot of crossovers in this episode.
Whoa.
He was also, I love this, he was Bulmer in the Dario Argento movie Tenebrae.
Oh, whoa. Have you seen that one?
I haven't seen that one yet, but also crossover to the Giallo world.
Yeah.
And Don Thompson in Nightmare on Elm Street. Oh, you were right. It is Don Thompson. It's not the lieutenant.
Okay.
I was getting it mixed up with
That was like
FBI agent Stanley Chase.
I gotta watch it again because I feel like I don't know how I did not recognize one from the other.
He's
I gotta rewatch. So
wild career. He also appeared in arguably the first ever Giallo movie, which was Mario Bava's 1963 The Girl Who Knew Too Much. So he like kicked off the Giallo genre too. John Saxon, everybody.
Yeah, damn.
What a guy. And Andrea Martin as Phyllis, who's Joy also in Only Murders in the Building too. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's also Ed Vula. I hadn't put together that that's all the same person.
Oh my god.
Yeah. She also is the only one from the original cast who appears in the 2006 Black Christmas remake. They get her back.
Nice.
And of course, Aunt Vula from Big Fat Greek
Yep.
Wedding. Yeah.
Those who don't know.
My twin.
She's so good at that. That movie is again, that movie doesn't get enough. Yeah, it truly is. I don't know how people let that one like get swept under because it is so funny.
It's incredible.
Line after line after line.
Yeah. So quotable. Bob Clark, we mentioned that he directed Christmas Story. He also did Porky's. Yeah. He's an American director, but all of those are movies that he made in Canada during Canada's tax shelter period, which was a time when basically, even as long as our podcast is, we don't have time to get into like the minutia of how this happened, but there was this period in Canadian film history from like the mid 70s to like late 80s-ish where in a kind of producers-esque twist, people would take projects to Canada to try and have them not make money so that then the producers would make a profit off of the tax incentives.
Whoa.
So this was one of the movies that was made during that period.
Never heard of that before.
It was a wild time. A wild time in filmmaking. Cinematographer is Reginald Morris, who also, I was like, what has this guy done? He's brilliant. Basically, the only things he did were other movies with Bob Clark. He did Porky's. He did A Christmas Story. He is so talented.
Yeah.
This is one of the most beautifully shot movies of this budget that I have ever seen.
Yeah.
And he also, when we get into kind of behind the scenes stories, there's a lot of kind of innovations going on in the camera department in this movie that I am shocked that he didn't go on to have
a bigger career. It is wild sometimes, like looking up cinematographers for these horror films. More often than not, I don't bring it up because they don't really have a long list of stuff. And I'm like,
how? Because it's
anyway,
yeah.
You're like, again, another podcast.
Truly,
spin-off podcast.
Truly. Siena's Rant Corner.
I know we really should have one.
Oh my God.
That'd be amazing.
So director Bob has a little bit of a cameo in here. He is one of the 3 voices playing Billy on the phone. Is the director. Isn't that great?
Which one is he? Do you know?
I don't know exactly which parts were him.
He's done.
But we're going to talk a little bit about some of the rest of it. It was him, an unidentified female voice actor, and Nick Mancuso, who we're going to talk about some of the techniques that Nick used to make his voice sound the way it sounds.
Okay. Love that, but hate it.
Yeah. Also, those phone calls were edited into the film afterwards, obviously. So a lot of what was scripted is very different from what we hear. So the actresses, when they were reacting on the phone, they were hearing a very toned down version of the dialogue. And then when they watched the movie and he's like saying all of this disgusting stuff,
that's
they're
gonna feel
like,
weird.
Yeah. kind of don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
But he was like, I didn't want to read them the actual, like,
Yeah.
disgusting dialogue because I didn't want their reactions to it to overwhelm what he's saying. And so I read them a toned down version so that their reactions would be more toned down.
Genius.
Genius,
Because they weren't
right?
taking it seriously. And if you're hearing all
Exactly.
those things in that voice, like,
You would take
yes,
it seriously.
yeah, and I know, like, they're actors, whatever,
Yeah.
but, like, still, like, as an actor, your job is to react.
Right.
And so, like, I don't know. That's smart.
I thought it was really
That's
clever
interesting.
hearing that background to it. So, speaking of background,
Yeah.
this is one of several films based on the urban legend of the babysitter and the man upstairs. Have you seen the movie When a Stranger Calls?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was one of the horror movies that scared me the most as a high schooler.
Did you babysit?
No, I didn't. It was just the idea of the call is coming from inside the house. Just
Yeah.
I've had so many nightmares about that. So I did a little bit of a dive into this.
Mhm.
Turns out that legend is probably based on one particular real case,
Ooh.
which was the still unsolved 1950 murder in Columbia, Missouri of a 13-year-old babysitter named Jeanette Christman, who was strangled by an intruder with an iron cord after calling police. So they get this like garbled phone call, which is where this story comes from. This is one of the horror films where we have a lot of connections to real life crime, so I'm gonna kind of shout a few of those out as we go along.
True crime woven in there.
Truly. According to a segment on the 2008 Blu-ray edition, it was also inspired by a second murder that took place in Montreal in November of 1943, when 14-year-old George Webster murdered his mother with a baseball bat and attacked several others, his siblings included. There's been some controversy because there's references made in a lot of the behind the scenes materials to like we were inspired by this real Montreal murder. And so there's that one that I just referenced. There's also the Montreal serial killer Wayne Bowden, who is known as the vampire rapist. Who was active from 69 to 71, probably another point of inspiration. So again, lots of real crimes behind this one, which I think also you can almost feel that when a horror movie has been inspired by real violence, and it gets under your skin more. I think. Screenplay is by Roy Moore, who originally wrote it under the title Stop Me, which is a terrible title.
That might be one of the worst.
One of the worst, truly.
Stop Me.
Was only his second ever writing credit after a story by for the 1973 TV movie She Cried Murder, which I had to shout out just for the name. Producers and director did make some changes to the material, so they aged the main characters up to college students. Under Bob Clark's direction, they added a lot more of the humor into the script. That was something that he, which I know we've talked about before, the sense of like you need something to balance out the horror. But he also in particular was really interested in allowing his young characters to be smart, which I think is part of why this film works so well. And I have a quote from him from a 2005 TV special about the film where he said, "College students, even in 1974, are astute people. They're not fools. It's not all bikinis, beach blankets, and bingo."
It is for me, baby.
And we're not even college students.
Beach blankets and bingo.
Beach blankets and bingo,
wow,
baby.
What a wild. He was just like, what are 3 B words I can think
truly.
of? Yeah, that could have been better, but that's fine. Booze could have been a great one.
That feels like it would have been more in line
Beach
with...
blankets? Like, we can swap that out and put booze.
He knew that there was too much booze in the actual movie.
Oh, yeah. He's like, I gotta stay away from the alcoholism.
So moving into cast and crew, little tidbit, if you follow the JCC on Instagram, the Jean Cocteau Cinema, you will already know this tidbit because I wrote it on a post there. Olivia Hussey, who again was already famous at this time from playing Juliet, so she's seen as this very kind of highbrow drama figure, took the job because she asked her psychic for career advice.
Wild.
And her psychic was like, you're going to be in a Canadian film that's going to make a bunch of money. And so she gets this project and she's like, okay, it's Canadian. I guess I'm going to make a bunch of money. And it does quite well.
Okay.
So
I was like, oh no.
works out well for her. they tried to get Betty Davis for the role of Mrs. Mac. She turned the part down. Not surprising.
Yeah.
But I feel like would have been hilarious in the part. Margot Kidder really liked her role as Barb and said that it was really refreshing. And kind of described the character as, quote, wild and out of control, as opposed to the more typical female leads of the time, which I think, again, goes to Bob Clark let these women be, like, real people.
Yeah.
Which we don't see much of. Andrea Martin, our Aunt Vula, her part was originally supposed to go to Gilda Radner of SNL, which I feel like I could totally see that. I think they kind of live in a similar mental space for me. But she dropped out a month before shooting. They found Andrea because she was also a member of Second City with Gilda, though. So that's kind of, they picked her as the replacement. There's also this whole kind of saga behind the casting of John Saxon, where this is a very confusing story to read about. But so apparently John Saxon was Bob Clark's original top choice for the role.
Okay.
But something gets miscommunicated with his agent. They offer the part to somebody else. They cast this man named Edmund O'Brien, who then shows up experiencing complications from Alzheimer's. They have to fire him, which is like this.
That's so sad.
It's apparently this horribly heartbreaking moment because he's this well-loved, respected actor who they've looked up to. And he's just, especially because they're shooting in Canada in the winter, it's cold. And they're like, we can't ask him to be outside this much. It's going to be dangerous. So they have to gently let this guy go, and they bring Saxon back in instead. So they get their first choice back, but only after this like heartbreaking saga.
Like, bad job on his agents and shit, man. Damn, does someone give a shit?
Questions about the behind the scenes of that.
Like, if they knew, you don't think that people immediately around him would be like, that's like, not a good...
Protect your clients.
Yeah,
like,
damn.
Don't put them in that position. So Nick Mancuso, who's the one who did most of the voice of Billy, the parts that aren't the director or this unnamed female voice actor, had to audition facing away from Bob Clark so that he couldn't see his face.
Oh, I love that.
He was doing it. Well, which I thought you'd enjoy.
Yes.
And according to IMDb, the role of Peter was first offered to Malcolm McDowell, who turned it down. But he's the one from Clockwork Orange. He's Alex from Clockwork
sorry.
Orange.
I always forget his fucking name.
But I mean, think how terrifying that would have been.
Yeah, no.
I feel like that would have overwhelmed the serial killer even more, because Malcolm McDowell is just a horrifying human being. In the best way. Which I mean as a compliment. He's a great actor.
Yeah, he plays scary well.
He plays scary real well. So this shot in Canada, technically, I guess I misspoke in saying it was winter. It shot from March 25th to May 11th. I imagine it was still quite cold then, particularly because most of it's taking place at night.
Yeah.
1974. Do you want to guess what the budget was?
Okay, what did you say about the budget earlier? Shit, I forgot. I usually try and like guess by your language of how you speak about it.
I'm giving you no clues.
I'm gonna go 500,000? I don't know.
That was really good.
Is it?
Well done.
You're like, watch, I'm wildly off. You're just trying to be nice.
No. It's 686.
Oh, I was close.
Yeah, you're very close. Which is around $4 million in today's money.
Oh my gosh.
So
this is a big movie.
It's a big movie. Which,
feels big, I suppose.
But it's particularly comparing that to Texas Chainsaw, which was released earlier the same year and is the other kind of like prototypical 1974 slasher. That one was like, what, 130? Something like that. So this is still like about 5 times what that cost. So just for a little perspective. And out of that, 200,000 of that 686 came from the Canadian Film Development Corporation. So it was government money, which I just get so jealous hearing about this.
We'll skip past that for you.
Yeah. Damn. Canada's a place that actually supports filmmakers, and it's wild that this was a point in history. The rules are different now. Canadian filmmaking money goes to Canadian filmmakers, but at the time you could be a Bob Clark who's from America and go make your movie in Canada and get money from the Canadian government for it, which
it'd be wild if they were still doing that. It would make sense.
Truly. So I know I referenced a little bit earlier that there were some camera department innovations. In particular, cam op Bert Dunk is the one who kind of, what a name also.
Yeah, sorry, I had to like pause
Bert
for that
Dunk.
one. Incredible.
So he is kind of the one who plays Billy a lot of the time because he's, for all of our POV shots as Billy, he's the one who's being the hands, who's doing all that stuff. And he designed to shoot this his own like GoPro style head rig, which he's wearing when he's climbing the side of the building in the trellis. He built that himself, which like now we see shots like that all the time. In 1974, think how fucking heavy cameras were to create a head rig and wear it while climbing up a trellis in the dark.
Right,
like,
and just to create something like that too and be like, we're doing like I got an idea.
Yeah.
Like, let's run with it.
I just had to shout out Bert
so
Dunk,
fun.
everybody. Like,
Way
that's
to go, Dunk.
Way to go, Dunk, particularly because those kinds
Dunked
of
I don't know.
God damn it.
I don't know that kind of sports.
It's a slam dunk.
Slam dunk. That's it's like, what's the term? Listen, I just got into football, so I can't go to other ones.
It's going to be several years before we get another kind of ball going on in here.
One ball show.
One ball at a time, everybody. I'm a normal girl. I take my balls one at a time. All right, everybody. It's been a nice podcast.
Yay, Siena. Thank you for your time.
Good night and good luck. Okay. Let's see if I can rein it back in. All right. Let's talk about the image of Claire's corpse in the attic. All wrapped.
The best image ever. It's, well, again, it gets me because the gaping mouth.
Oh my God. It's so horrifying.
It's like everything I wanted. Is that wild to say? It is so uncanny and so, it's perfect.
Yeah.
I want that to be. Is there posters out there that have her on there? Because
that's
it's
like
so
the
good.
image from the film is her.
Again, I've only seen the ending.
Oh, it's so
stabby.
It's
great.
So I think part of the reason that that's so uncanny is that is not like a wax figure or a mold. That's the actual actress.
Okay. At one point, I thought I saw her lip kind of move in the very first. There's something that like looked alive, but I was like, no, I'm just freaked out by this.
And it seemed like, how did they do this, right? Because as the actress points out, part of the difficulty is not just that you can't see the movement, but also that because she's if she breathes, it will fog up, and so she literally she cannot breathe at all. And so I have quotes from her. Actress is Lynn Griffin. Thank God they cast somebody who was a really good swimmer, which was part of it. And so she says, quote, I was actually and still am a fairly good swimmer, so I could hold my breath for a long time, and I could keep my eyes open for a long time without blinking, which, like, again, couldn't you have made a dummy? But
yeah, but that would have been more expensive.
It probably would have been more expensive. But so
she's like, I got this.
Truly. And basically what they did was she would kind of like poke a hole in the part that was in her mouth, so there was like a tiny little hole like where her mouth was open.
Yeah.
I think they may have used straws in her nose. I saw kind of conflicting stories on that one. But like she had to stay completely still. Which I also, to be honest, I don't know if a straw would have even worked, because if there was actual movement there, it would have registered on camera. So I think this is just all on the actress, all on Lynn Griffin. Another quote from her. When we were filming the stuff in the attic with me wrapped in the dry cleaning bag, Bob, the director, was the one sitting opposite me, and he had his foot on the rocker, making the chair rock.
Oh my God,
which I thought was so cute. He was also the person who was hurling the cat at me, wanting the cat to sit on my lap and lick my face, which of course the cat didn't want to do. They decided it would be a good idea to spray my face with catnip, so that's how they finally got the shot.
Oh, the smell was potent.
Oh my, well, imagine again, you can't move, you can't breathe. You've got the director throwing a cat at you, and you're covered in catnip. Nightmare.
Hopefully they got all of her shots done like relatively quickly,
Truly. According to Margot Kidder, taking the project wasn't the only thing that Olivia Hussey was checking in with her psychic about. So I brought in this quote just because it's just
no.
wild.
Okay.
She said,
Yikes.
Olivia Hussey was a bit of an odd one. She was obsessed with the idea of falling in love with Paul McCartney through her psychic. We were a little hard on her for things like that, which I have so many questions about. Like, did her psychic tell her that she was going to date Paul
Yeah,
McCartney?
yikes.
What's going on behind the scenes there?
She was trying to pay off her.
Truly.
Just say something about him, please.
You know we love a good sound tidbit, so I wanted to talk a little bit about the score too. It's composed by Carl Zittrer, Zittrer. Zitterer, I don't know. So he composed almost all of this on a prepared piano. Do you know what that is?
Prepared piano.
Prepared piano. Well, first of all, I just want to say I think it's brilliant for a movie like this where you have a character like Peter, who is so ominous, who's a pianist, that most of your soundtrack would be composed on piano. What a prepared piano is this idea that came about in the mid-20th century with kind of avant-garde composers where they would open up the back of the piano and tie objects to the piano strings. So in this case, they had forks and knives and things like that attached to the strings to create extra weight and kind of like uneven pull on them from the back, which distorts the sound. Then they recorded onto tape. They played the tape back at a slower speed to warp it even more. And the composer would even like physically put pressure on the reels of the recorder while they were recording for more distortion, which I was just like delighted by.
I gotta look up some YouTube videos on that. That's so cool.
Yeah. So there's a
Prepared
lot.
piano.
So nothing here there's no like early synth stuff that I could find, which is interesting because there are parts of it that have that kind of an uncanny, inhuman sound to it. It's all acoustic.
Yeah.
It's just,
Ooh, I gotta
distortion.
Want to listen back to the soundtrack too and just see if like I can, I don't know,
right?
Clock anything.
It's so satisfying. Keir Dulley was only on set for a week. He never actually met Margot Kidder. It's all just edited to make it look like they're in scenes together, which is phenomenal.
Wait, the guy that plays?
I think he's which one is he? I think he's the one who's in 2001. Is that right? No, he's Peter. Peter was only there for a week. Never met Barb. Never met most of the other actors.
Okay, that makes sense a little bit more.
Apparently this was one of the first instances of a mainstream movie using the word cunt, which love. What an icon. What an icon. According to IMDb, this was part of why this movie also got censored in its British release, specifically for the use of the word cunt.
Don't the British love the word cunt?
One
you guys,
think,
don't you
right?
love the word cunt? I feel like you own that word in the best way. You sound the best saying it.
Truly. It's like well suited for the accent.
Yeah, damn. It's rude.
British listeners, weigh in. The house that they shot at, Real House, and they chose it specifically for that staircase, which I thought was just...
It's so good,
right?
As they should have.
And Bob Clark said he really liked because of the way that it was kind of set up with the landing at the space it is. You could show somebody's feet at the top without revealing their whole body and get this kind of ominous, which he plays a lot with.
Oh, yeah.
And then my last production tidbit, which I referenced earlier for you, well, kind of two-part tid. Nick Mancuso's voice on the phone. Yeah. First of all, we hear his voice in a couple other scenes too, not as Billy, but to increase suspicion that the character of Peter and Billy are the same person. They apparently had Nick Mancuso do ADR for 6 of Peter's lines so that the Billy voice is coming out of Peter's mouth for a couple of moments.
No,
Isn't that creepy?
That's genius.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I also saw somebody point out, we see that the killer's eyes are brown and Peter's eyes are blue, so it can't be Peter, but they're doing everything they can to lead you down that path.
Yeah. I was like, even if there were 2 of them, like he's a part of it somehow.
Yeah, like a Billy and Stu type situation.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's who Billy's named after.
Ooh.
That feels like the sort of thing Wes Craven would do.
Ooh, maybe.
Interesting. But my second Nick Mancuso tidbit. He recorded a lot of his audio while doing headstands so that it would put more pressure on his vocal cords and create this like strained sound. Isn't that
Video of
gross?
that. That's so funny. Imagine like being like just walking in. Oh, I'll come
Yep.
back later.
Yep. Oh, I think we'll leave Nick to what he's doing.
Yeah, we'll give him 5.
Yeah. I think a hot 5.
Calls a psychic for help.
Where's Paul McCartney when you need him? Isn't that disturbing?
Yeah.
So
the voice is disturbing. So
really
I kind of love
upsetting.
that there's weird ways to make that happen.
And I read a couple of interviews with Nick Mancuso who apparently kind of felt like this maybe didn't do great things for his career, even though he never appears on screen, because it is so unnerving that he felt like
oops.
he kind of, this became the thing that he was known for, he felt like. So
Yeah. It's so iconic, so I get the fear of that.
Release. Let's see. So it made about 4 million worldwide.
Oh wow.
So, which
okay for this,
right? It's again with like a budget of about 680 something. That seems like it's doing great.
And to do a Christmas horror in 74, 74, right? Yeah, to do that then. Like, was there a Christmas horror prior to this?
If
you know
there
what I mean?
is, I can't think of one.
Yeah,
I think this is pretty much the first.
Yeah. Christmas. So
that's like this.
To get 4 mil, I mean, you make your money back.
Yeah,
it's kind of amazing for the time.
However, Warner Brothers was kind of disappointed. They're the ones who distributed it in America, because they predicted it was going to earn 7 million. And it underperformed largely because it was competing with The Godfather Part 2, which is
isn't that everyone's favorite,
tough.
right?
That's tough.
Doesn't everyone love that one, or they hate that one?
Right?
Yeah.
So, was originally released in America under the title Silent Night, Evil Night.
That is why every time you search this goddamn movie, Silent Night, Deadly Night comes up.
Yep. Yeah. It's very confusing.
I was so confused by that.
And do you want to know why?
Yeah, why? I do actually.
This is so classic Hollywood. They were afraid. It did great in Canada under the title Black Christmas, which I think is a phenomenal title for a Christmas horror movie. Hollywood, being both dumb and racist, thought that people would hear the title Black Christmas and think it's a blaxploitation movie. And they're like, oh, then we're not going to get white audiences in.
Yeah,
and so they release it under the title Silent Night, Evil Night. It doesn't do well.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, maybe Black Christmas was a good title. They re-released it under Black Christmas and it does well.
I love that.
Isn't that great?
I love that justification.
We love to see it.
Oh my god, what dummies. Dummies is like the nicest thing to call them.
That's us being very polite.
Yeah. I need more coffee for the better insults. Sorry, guys.
All that comes to my head after watching this movie is just cunts. So
truly.
That's the only word that I've got.
Cunty and not a good way. Cunty and not a cunty way. You know?
So true. My final true crime connection for you.
Oh wow. Oh my god, a fourth one.
And this one really kind of gets under my skin.
Oh, no.
So this film was supposed to have its TV debut in January of 1978, on January 28th, under a third title, Stranger in the House. Terrible.
Okay.
However, 2 weeks before that, on January 15th, 1978, then unidentified Ted Bundy commits the Chi Omega sorority murders in Tallahassee, where he breaks into a sorority house, murders 2 girls, severely injures 3 others.
I forgot that was that time.
It was the exact same time. And he bludgeoned 2 of them to death.
Yeah.
So even the murder method is very similar to some of the deaths in this. And so people at this time, 2 weeks later, are still searching for the killer who nobody's identified as Ted Bundy. And so the governor of Florida calls NBC up and asks for a different title to show. And so
I mean, you gotta think the news was just like popping off, man. To have them that movie
movie
during commercial break, you like flip the channel and it's just like,
and like we've renamed it to A Stranger in the House too. Like one that's even more like, at least if you're calling it Black Christmas, it feels at least a little bit distinct. So affiliates in Georgia, Alabama, and Florida instead showed the movie Doc Savage, The Man of Bronze.
Yeah, my favorite.
That classic.
Yeah. Household classic.
But like just the parallels between that, particularly apparently a lot of people tried to draw comparisons, being like, oh, Ted Bundy probably saw this movie.
Of course, though. But of course.
Yeah.
Can't be mental illness.
He's not that creative, you guys. He's not as smart as you think
He
he is.
wasn't like going through his film roster being like, how can I
Right.
get my ideas?
Letterboxd didn't exist back then. To give us
Couldn't read
inspiration.
reviews.
So unsurprisingly, this film was released to mixed reviews, as is
Yeah.
almost always the case for horror,
Yeah.
including one from Gene Siskel of Siskel and Ebert, which
Oh,
I
wow.
found kind of particularly infuriating, which is why I wanted to bring it in, where he says that this is, quote, notable only for indicating the kind of junk roles that talented actresses are forced to play in the movies, which part of the reason that I wanted to point that out is because that's the exact opposite of what the actresses in this movie have said about their
Yeah,
experience. They
yeah.
were all like, this was actually a really refreshing role that is very different from what I usually get to play.
Yeah,
And
wild.
so it kind of just comes across as paternalistic junk to me. Like, God forbid our quote unquote talented
Yeah.
actresses play wild girls or characters who get abortions, right?
Yeah.
We can't have that. Unsurprisingly, it's been reappreciated since then. Again, came out the same year as Texas Chainsaw. I think because of that, audiences just weren't ready for what it was doing at the time. But like I almost feel like you needed Black Christmas to be out already in order to get the genius of Black Christmas. Like it's so this set the stage for so much that comes
Right.
after it that like I can't imagine what it would be like to watch this, particularly because Texas Chainsaw had just come out a couple months beforehand.
Right. It's
So
hard to give the spotlight something so soon after.
exactly. It now has a 70% critic score on Rotten
Oh, wow.
Tomatoes, 76% from audiences. It did get nominated for a couple awards. It got a Saturn nomination, Edgar Allan Poe nomination, multiple Canadian Film Award nominations. There have been spin-offs. There was a novelization in 76 that's now extremely out of print, extremely rare and sought after.
That's cool.
It's based on the original script and has like a whole bunch of detail about kind of the backstory of Billy, how he got to where he is, that got cut from the film, which fascinating.
Read that.
There have been 2 remakes, one in 2006, which was produced by Bob Weinstein's Dimension, and one in 2019 with Imogen Poots and Carrie Elways put out by Blumhouse, which
I love Imogen Poots.
yeah,
She's
I love
great.
Carrie Elways. He's from Princess Bride.
Oh, never seen it.
So
Remember,
wild to me.
we don't need to bring that up again.
So wild. Yeah, that's what's gonna get the podcast shut down. And so Bob Clark did have a whole backstory in mind for Billy that never made it into the screen, but does get incorporated into the 2006 remake.
Ooh, okay.
Which is kind of maybe an incentive for checking that one out. I have not seen it.
I want to see it just because I'm nosy, but I didn't think this film needed it.
I think it would have been less scary had we known.
Yeah, I like the mystery of it. Like that's it. It's Faceless Man.
Yeah, which is
it wasn't needed, but I want to know.
The less you know, the better.
Yeah.
But basically, his backstory was that Billy was a child who was abused and locked in the attic. He murders his parents, and Agnes is his little sister. So it is very. Which hearing that, I'm like, yeah, this does sound like it was the inspiration for Halloween. It really does. So it's giving Halloween.
It's giving House of Wax too.
It's giving House of Wax. I mean, there's so much.
Yeah.
There's so much similarity there. There's also what is this? As of the 2020s, there was a short fan-made film called "It's Me, Billy," a Black Christmas fan film.
Oh my god!
Which was funded off Indiegogo, and then there was "It's Me, Billy" Chapter 2, which was supposed to have Olivia Hussey and Lynn Griffin. Lost Hussey, I think still had Griffin. Just got released a couple months ago because this year is the 50th anniversary.
Oh shit!
So the Canadian release of this movie was October 11th.
Okay.
1974. So they released it on the 50th anniversary of the Canadian release.
Yeah. Yeah. 2024. That makes sense.
Yes.
It's like, what year is it?
So true. Film Theory Rant Corner.
I was curious if you were going to have one.
I do. I have kind of 2 things that I want to talk about, which one we've kind of sprinkled a little bit through here, which is just sort of how Jess relates to the idea of the final girl. But before that, I think we need like a little bit of context for the world this film was made in, which is Okay. So I'm like trying to think of how to get into this because I like had a debate with myself about like, is this too political to talk about? And I was like, no, this film is about abortion. We
Yeah.
have to talk about the
Yeah,
context that
yeah.
the film is made in. And I was like, okay, I'm a dumb American. I don't know anything about what abortion rights in Canada were
Oh,
like
yeah,
at this time.
same.
So I did a deep dive.
Yeah.
So you all don't have to. And the truth is, not that great.
Oh, no.
Which kind of shouldn't be surprising to me, was surprising to me. I
Yeah.
feel like as an American, I have a stereotype that things were better than they
Yeah,
were.
absolutely.
So basically this film, 1974, that's 1 year after Roe v. Wade. Rest in peace, Roe v. Wade.
Yeah, truly.
So abortion has only been fully legally accessible in theory in the United States for 1 year at the time this is
Okay.
released. It was legalized in Canada 5 years beforehand. However, at this time in Canada, the only kind of abortion you could get was a quote unquote therapeutic abortion, which
What the
required
fuck does that mean?
yeah, it gets worse, Al. So in order to get an abortion in Canada, at the time that Jess the character is trying to get an abortion in Canada, she would have to go before a committee of doctors. The committee then decides as a group whether there is sufficient evidence to prove that having the baby would be detrimental to her physical or mental well-being.
It's so traumatizing.
It's so traumatizing. You cannot get an abortion without this, no matter how much you beg.
That makes me want to cry.
And oh my god, it only gets worse, Al.
No, I don't like this part of this
I know.
podcast.
I'm so sorry. This is the true horror.
Oh my god.
Also, there was no requirement for a hospital to have one of these committees. So, if you were, say, an Indigenous woman living on the reservation, you probably don't have access to this at all because only certain hospitals even
Yeah.
have the committee that you can go to beg for
Oh.
permission to get an abortion.
Jesus.
So if you're living in a city,
Yeah.
you probably are going to have it a little bit easier.
Right,
If
of
you're living in the
course.
country,
Yeah.
you may just not be able to at all, even though it's technically legal.
Yeah.
Which
Well, yeah.
I think is really important context for this movie because so much of the way this is being talked about, so much of the threat in this movie is that Peter feels like the decision about whether or not Jess gets an abortion is his to make. And that is part of why it feels like he's the killer, is because he will literally stop at nothing to get in the way of her making this decision about her
Yeah.
own body. Like he will break through glass windows.
Yeah.
He
needed to be sedated real quick
She literally has to kill him
to stop him.
to stop him from stopping her.
Mm.
Which to me makes it feel like Peter, even though he's not the killer, really is the villain of the story.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people have talked about this film as like a proto-feminist film. The lead actress and Bob Clark have both been like, we didn't mean it to be political. It wasn't like supposed to be this big thing. And I'm like, okay, but it's still a document of this really important thing going on at this time. And whether you were conscious of it or not, it's still for me as somebody who like I've lost those rights in this country now. I think that it is impossible to watch this and not see it through that lens.
I always find it wild when filmmakers go, I didn't intend it to be this, but I'm like, that's what art is. You can make it for any intent that you mean to make it, but then society and people like watching it in whatever context, it's going to be that. So I always find that such a throwaway sentence sometimes.
Totally.
I just wish people would stop because like that wasn't like that. It wasn't okay, great, but
matter.
It's art. I don't know what to
say.
Matter.
Art's a triangle.
Yeah.
There's the artist, the art, and the audience, and all three are important.
Yeah.
All three contribute to what the whole is.
Yeah. So that's
But so I bring all of this up in order to give context to the fact that Jess is considered one of the foundational final girls. And I actually found a whole bunch of like, there's like an article from Paste where she gets like the #1 spot in final girl film history.
Oh my God,
there's like she is considered one of the iconic final girls. And she's one of the ones that Carol Clover writes about very angrily.
I was wondering if Carol was going to come back in.
Oh, of course Carol comes back in. And I just kind of, I don't feel like she fits that mold. I don't feel like she's not what I associate with the final girl.
Well,
in
that's why,
so many
she feels so
ways.
different.
She feels so different, and it's wild to me now, having seen this film, knowing that this is part of what final girl theory is based on, because I'm like, but she's not even an example of the things that Carol Clover is talking
It doesn't seem
about.
like Carol Clover would like her.
No,
At all.
I don't think she would. Like, which is, I think this points out a lot of the holes in Carol's theory. But like, for one thing, I don't think Jess survives the end of this movie.
I kind of don't either.
I don't think she does.
I actually thought that cop was going to walk in that room and shut the door.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
seems
it's done for
like
her.
it.
Well,
Yeah.
why did they get the fainting man to the hospital and they left like a traumatized victim just sedated in this house that they didn't even clear?
Right. Surely the corpses in the attic are starting to smell by now. Like,
I just, like, so many people are missing.
Yeah.
And it's a sorority house that has multiple, and you're just not gonna go to
you're
the
just
attic.
And you're
Have
just
we not
gonna
talked-
leave her alone in the house that a bunch
No,
of people
because you have to
just
get
got
the old
murdered in?
fainting man.
Yeah.
Oh, the man
correct.
not even fainting. I'm sorry, he's in shock.
He's in shock.
We must
yeah.
get him to the hospital. But
That's
you're gonna leave
much
that
more important.
girl.
Yeah.
here? So I kind of have a feeling that she doesn't survive either.
Which, and to me, the way that it's played actually reminded me a lot of Ben's death in Night of the Living Dead, where it's like, you know, where we see him, he makes it all the way up until the very end. He makes it to dawn and then gets shot by the cops.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like that to me. It's like she is, at the end of the day, done in by a combination of incompetence and, like, lack of belief in her. Like, lack of people taking her word seriously, which is something we see happen earlier in the film as she's trying to alert people that there's this danger, and everybody's like, okay honey.
Yeah.
Which again, to me, goes to the feminism of this film. Like, it's really showing that she is smart, is picking up on the danger around her, is doing everything she's supposed to, and just is in a system that is forcing her to rely on a committee of men to make decisions about her safety. And that committee of men is failing her.
Yeah.
And like, that is the abortion situation in Canada at the time. And so like, even if you don't see it as intentional, even if you believe them that it's not intentional, you can read this whole film as like an abortion horror analog for the ways that it's, you know, it is not anything that she is doing. It's the fact that her safety is put in the hands of this committee of men who fail her.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, because they just leave her in that room to once again just figure it out yourself. Yeah.
Well, and she's sedated, which is like what might happen in an abortion clinic too.
Yeah.
There's like a whole lot of layers.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know about the whole committee thing.
Which, again, I know that's not super fun, guys. I know we normally try to keep it lighter. I'm sorry, but like, I think it's really, it makes it hit harder, and it adds to me to why this doesn't feel like a final girl story, because it's like, this doesn't feel like something where it's all about like her phallic envy and her wanting to take over the murder weapon from the big stabby murderer. Like, it's really just her versus men not believing her.
Yeah.
That's the horror at the end of the day.
Truly. That's why it was so much scarier.
Yes.
Than
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, this one got under my skin. I had sweaty palms in this one.
I actually paused it a couple of times to like go take a break and like get some water, which is not.
I couldn't have watched this one by myself.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
It's hard.
Yeah,
it's hard. Yeah. I did, just to end on a light note. Looking through my watch notes, when one of the characters was like, "All right, party's over, all the men out," I was like, "It's me walking onto set."
Just you walking into any room.
Also, I had to look up the release dates of this in Texas Chainsaw just to verify. There's no way that they could have watched Texas Chainsaw while they were making this. They shot this before TV. Is that the initials? Oh my God, no. TCM, thank you. Right before TCM came out, and yet they both have women getting hooked to death.
I know, the hook was really
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, the hook was, I loved it.
It was so satisfying, and yet
up.
also such a the fact, well, I guess we also have a gingerbread hook in yours, but
Yeah.
but the fact that both of these
That's funny. I didn't think about that.
prototypical horror films from the same year
Yeah, had this like
have
hook death.
the same kind of death was
Yeah.
so interesting to me. Also just not a whole lot of deaths for a slasher. I think it was about 8 that I counted.
Yeah, and again, we don't like see like
Yeah.
we hear the struggle more than
Right.
anything, which again, it's the mystery of it all makes it that much more like ugh, you just have to sit there and your brain does the imagining. I feel like our brains
Exactly.
make it worse
It's oh my
than what
God.
we would see. So
Well, and that ending shot pulling back from the window, seeing her body as like the snow is oh my God.
and the ringing, it was a genius ending. And then the cop just I'm like, is he gonna go and answer the goddamn phone and realize this is not over? No, he's just gonna smoke a cigarette and be a fucking cunt about
because
it.
again, we depend on this committee of incapable men.
It shouldn't be making
Yep.
The true horrors.
Yeah, really. So Merry Christmas, everybody.
Happy holidays.
On that happy note. No, but really, I
loved it.
I loved
Yeah, this was a good one.
So much. And it was truly go watch this if you haven't. It is genuinely frightening and like I laughed out loud at several points in it.
Yeah.
And you don't have to watch it as an abortion analog if you don't want to, but if you do, it makes it even scarier.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I feel like, what do you rate it?
Oh my, 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
This was
I could do like a 4.5.
Yeah,
Maybe.
It's good.
Yeah,
it's a good movie. It's really good. Yeah.
Break time?
Yeah, let's
right.
go eat some candy canes. Go
get
chase,
some nog.
Yeah, chase some gingerbread men on hooks. And see if they pull us up into the attic.
Yeah, see if they chase back.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll be right back.
We know how much you love stories of horror and gore. Meet our sponsor, Beasley Books, the independent bookstore owned by author George R.R. Martin in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Beasley specializes in autographed titles, rare editions, and speculative fiction, which includes sci-fi, fantasy, and, of course, horror. You can find many authors whose adaptations we've covered at Beasley, including Stephen King, Clive Barker, and more, alongside the likes of Nick Cutter, Shirley Jackson, and Anne Rice. Visit the Santa Fe storefront Wednesday through Sunday at 418 Montezuma, or shop online anytime. I don't know why I'm Irish now, but you can find them at BeasleyBooks.com or on Instagram at BeasleyBooks418. And make sure you use code SPLICE10 to save 10% when you shop online. Splice10 to save 10% when you shop online. Bye.
And we're back. Did we both just go both ways at the same time?
I don't know what I did with my body. I always get really nervous when I start to go. I don't think I'll ever shake this, but
we're back.
Yeah, we're back.
We're back,
it's
baby.
always like funny being the second one because it's just like we already kind of did our intro. There's like a nice lead in, and now I'm like, how do we start?
Yeah,
anywhere.
It's always harder to segue in for the second one.
Yeah.
Than it is for the first.
I guess sometimes it's like I don't want to know your opinion before we go in.
Should I save it for the end?
I don't know.
Save it for the end.
I'm so curious. No, I want to talk to you about it. I want to talk about your watch experience because now I got to know.
I took so few notes for this, Al. Normally I take a lot of notes during yours, and especially like the house that Jack built. I had like a page and a half for
That's
yours.
pretty noteworthy of a movie. You know what I mean? Like this. I've heard about this film. Have you heard about this film,
Yes.
I suppose?
Yeah.
So I know Twig, who we work with, huge fan. We have a very tall, we have like an 8-foot Krampus in Beasley Books.
Yeah.
I've always heard about this film, always wanted to watch it. I feel like I went into it being like, this will be fun. And that was really my expectation for this film.
My bar was set quite low.
Yeah. And I don't think for like a bad reason.
No.
I had the best time, and I actually think this will be like a Christmas tradition because it felt very Christmassy. I called it.
I watched it, and like one of the notes I took was this is going to be an Al Christmas tradition now.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Because it's in the same way a lot of Christmas movies are just there to entertain.
Yeah.
They're cheesy, they're funny,
It's there
they're
to hit the
Christmassy.
beats. It's
It-
there to hit the beats.
Yeah, and it did.
And it did.
And so
Yeah.
so that's why I thought why am I like scared biting my nails? So
Oh my
I
God,
don't
you're
think
so
these
funny.
can live in the same
N-
conversation.
No.
But what did you think
they're
of
very
it?
different kinds of Christmas
Yeah.
movie. I enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah.
I think I was mostly delighted watching it because I was like, oh, Al is going to be having the best.
I mean,
time.
2015.
Yeah.
It just, yeah.
Well, and like it's Michael Dougherty. Like I was just taking note after note about how Al coded it was. And I was
Yes.
like, I was mostly just living vicariously through your experience.
through my
because
lens, yeah.
I could just imagine like the fact that it has like an animated Coraline style sequence seemed so up your alley.
Oh, the stop animation?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, oh
Which
my God.
I'm sorry, y'all. I do not have like hard facts on, but I
That's
have
fine.
Al fact about that one.
We love an Al
Yeah.
fact. It
What
just-
else did you write?
Oh my God.
about
Let's
me?
see. Let's see. What are my
Tell me
other
more
Al
about
facts?
me, Sienna. Because I clearly love being the center of attention. Not.
I did write that you must have absolutely hated the Krampus creature design because of the constantly open mouth.
Yeah.
That was like specifically designed to torture you.
Yeah.
Which I imagine also made your viewing experience better.
I gotta like, I don't even know if I want to like admit this on mic. I got a Krampus thirst trap last night, and I actually didn't know what to think about it. It was someone wearing the mask with abs, which those are like two things that I don't like. I'm not a fan of abs. No
How did
offense
you
to
feel
anyone
about
out
it in this context?
I don't think I'm a fan. To each their own. I like other masked things.
Yeah.
But
That's not
yeah.
the mask for you.
Yeah, I was just like, yeah, the mask. But I loved it because of that. I wasn't expecting that. I feel like I've seen the face before. I know Krampus like
Mhm.
lore, but to like sit with that mask for a movie, and especially towards the end, I was
Most of
a
the
full look.
Krampus depictions that I've seen are much more like
Goat? Mhm.
goat coded.
Yeah,
More
yeah.
goaty.
Yeah.
And
Goated.
I more goated. God damn it.
I got dropped to laugh on that one.
God, goat damn it.
Yeah, goat damn it.
Goat
Goat
damn it.
damn it.
That's gonna be my new curse. I love that. Goat damn it.
Uh, we are
Just mutter
stupid.
stupid. Good.
That means we've
Good.
won.
Yeah, it does. That's what I'm going for.
But yeah, a lot of
Stupid for every
them,
episode.
and obviously this like the lore and tradition behind this too. Like that's the mask you're gonna see. So we'll kind of, I have like a tiny bit about the mask and the design. So,
But I liked that it was. Have you seen Rare Exports?
no.
That's Lisa from Video Library's favorite Christmas movie to recommend. It's like
Ooh.
I think Danish. I want to say it's
okay.
like a semi horror movie. It's creepy.
Mhm.
And the Santas in that look a lot like Krampus
Ooh.
in this, and that's.
What your
It
brain
kept
went to.
reminding me of that, and I think that look of like a very hollowed out, skinny Santa,
Yeah.
deeply creepy.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what it
I
is about
loved
that,
it.
but it really works for me.
I feel like I would have I would have thought he was too hot if they gave him a goat mask. You know what I mean?
True.
Does anybody know what I
If
mean?
it-
Can anyone
yeah,
feel me out there?
I'm with you. If it
Would've
had
been too
been
hot.
more Black Phillip coded, it
Have
would
you
have been
seen
more
like
appealing.
the Austrian, like the actual Krampus fest, like people going
Yeah.
and like
It's a little bit hotter
It's-
in real life.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad we're on the same page here.
Anyways, moving on.
Cool.
Krampus,
Cool,
2015.
cool. Love that for us.
Let's just move right the fuck along.
Fun fact: we
Um,
both think Krampus is hot.
I know. Why is that? We gotta
Is
call what's her name?
anybody surprised?
We need to get in touch with a psychic, and
Oh
instead
my
of Paul
God.
McCartney, we need a Krampus.
It's really
cosplayer.
Paul McCrampus.
Paul McCrampus. It's my stage name. So release date, we'll start there.
Great.
December 4th, 2015. So they
Aw.
actually did release it when it
At
was
the
intended,
holidays, yeah,
which
good.
we've kind of learned, like with Rob Zombie's Halloween, that being after the fact did not play
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, gotta release it at the holiday it's
Yeah.
intended for.
So it was originally intended to be released November 25th, but was pushed back to December
Smart.
4th
Smart.
to coincide with Krampus Snatch, I think is how you say it.
Oh, Krampusnacht? I
Yeah,
think?
I'm not
Yeah.
going to attempt to do that. So
it's like
it's
the
Krampus
German
Snatch
word. Yeah.
is what we're saying today. We got cunt, we got the snatch. We're just really rounding out this
Yes.
episode. God, happy holidays, Which
Merry
is
Cuntmas to us all.
yeah. So to coincide with the Austrian festival, like I said, held on December 5th. So to punish, I love it. Naughty children. I love the word naughty in this context. It's so funny. Description: a boy who has a bad Christmas ends up summoning a Christmas demon to his family home. Very simple. I do have taglines for you in the same way.
Amazing.
Yours were very Christmassy and bad. We have a few. I'm trying to think of like where
to start.
It's funny because I thought yours was going to be like the longest tagline we did, but I think mine has the Black Christmases beat. We have the first one: when Christmas spirit is lost, he arrives. That's good.
It's pretty good.
You don't want to be on his list. I do.
I feel like it should say naughty list.
The naughty list?
I feel like it should say you don't want to be on his naughty list.
His list is inherently naughty, but
That's
some
true.
people might not know.
That's true.
This one, ... is coming to town. Bad. ... Yeah, it just starts off. Yeah, ... is coming to town.
Oh my! Oh, I get it. It's because the poster would have the title. It would be like Krampus.
Oh my god, I didn't think about that.
Okay, that helps.
I just thought it was supposed to be like, we don't know, but he's coming.
Is coming to town. Oops.
In a very blasé, you better watch out.
God damn it.
Is bad.
That's bad. That's bad.
We have, will you survive this Christmas? I know, all these don't hit. And then I think this is what you said, and then mine just like finishes this fucking sentence.
Good.
It goes in the longest tagline I think we've ever had.
Amazing.
He sees you when you're sleeping.
Uh-huh.
He knows when you're awake. He knows when you've been bad or good. So be good for goodness sake.
Oh my god!
I'm like,
just
did we
the whole song.
Yeah.
Great.
It continues. No. So the whole song.
You better watch out. You better
I don't
not
like
cry.
any of these.
None of them are good. None of them are good.
I like Black Christmases, so they could have taken note.
Their skin's on too tight.
It's. I'm going to remind you that your bones are wet at all times, just as a jab back to you for that one. Your skin's too tight. Your bones are wet. PG-13 rating. So, this like hurts me a little bit. So Michael Dougherty was initially okay with us having a PG-13 rating because he was hoping to have a Trick or Treat 2 that would be rated R. So he was trading this off. The last like talks of this movie, at least on IMDb, was like 2009, so I'm sure there was like conversations happening, and so I like feel bad. He was like, "No, it's okay. I'll like do a PG-13."
One for them,
but
one for me,
and he didn't get the one for me yet. So
Michael,
I don't know. I know. I kind of like hope he gets it because I like this man's brain. I think he's fun.
He feels like somebody who has such a inappropriate sense of humor that I feel like he'd have a lot more fun doing an R.
And like he does all of his comics on the side too for things, so I just think he has a lot of like good ideas that are just kind of waiting to be put in this film format. So obviously there was controversy surrounding other Christmas horror movies, Silent Night, Deadly Night, Black Christmas, and so they thought it was going to be like a hard story to sell if they did an R rating for it. So they were like, just rein it back a little bit so that we can greenlit the movie, which Universal did upon that agreement. So I would have loved to see what our version of this would have been.
Yeah,
I feel like it would have been just that little extra that I wanted.
Well, it feels pretty close to an R too. Like when I saw that it was PG-13, I was expecting it to be a little bit tamer than it is. So I was impressed by how much they managed to sneak in.
Budget for this one. Any guesses? I know you always do budget last. I don't know why I do it first. I was surprised at how much it made back.
Was this isn't Blumhouse. This is
Universal,
just a regular Universal. Yeah. And it had Adam Scott. At this point, he was doing Parks and Rec. Right?
Yeah, I feel like the cast. I mean, Toni Collette too.
Yeah, and Toni Collette. I want to guess like 9 or 10.
15.
15. Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, it feels pretty beefy.
That's beefy. Yeah,
and I think probably it went to the actors.
Yeah, that tracks.
So budget 15, and then I want to make you guess how much it grossed too. I don't think you'll guess.
Whatever reason, my brain is saying 45.
Higher.
Higher?
Yeah.
Oh
this
my
is, like,
god.
really well.
Did it like 80?
61.
61.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was
I'm
really
off
impressed because,
today.
again, it's like, I think it's commercial.
Yeah, it's very commercial.
So, yeah.
I also
But
feel
I
like
was
this is
surprised it did so
probably
well.
something that was very easy to market. Because it's
Although
the
I
holidays.
feel like I didn't know
because
Adam
it's-
Scott was even in it. I just knew it was like Krampus. I feel like they
Oh.
didn't push those
The
names
Adam
as
Scott
more
of it all.
Yeah.
Oh, and the Toni Collette of it all.
Yeah.
I guess, to be fair, this was pre-Hereditary, so Toni Collette as horror mama
She was in
had
About a
not
Boy.
yet. Well, yeah. I mean, like, we loved Toni Collette already, but I
Yeah.
don't think we loved her as, like, horror queen Toni Collette.
True.
Yeah,
True,
I
true,
think
true.
that was still to come.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad it did well because it was fun. We have Michael Dougherty as the director, as we know. I only wrote down the only thing that everyone should know him from is Trick or Treat. I have a lot of quotes from him. I forget the source, I can read it at the bottom, but a lot of my quotes or like information kind of came straight from him in interviews.
Oh, cool.
So I kind of like the way I'm just going to kind of describe how he talks about kind of Krampus and kind of where I think his love of wanting to do this film comes from, especially being like horror. He says he loves that Krampus is not the unstoppable monster that kicks down your door and rampages and grabs you. There's something darkly playful about him. He's having a good time doing what he does, and he enjoys the cat and mouse aspect of it. Yeah. So I feel like that pretty much sums up him as a director and why he would be attracted to something like this. Because even Sam's like that too. Sam is the spirit in the same way. Like he is the spirit of Halloween. And if you don't celebrate it, he will murder you.
I was very much thinking that his take on Krampus had very Sam energy. It
Absolutely.
was playful in this movie.
Yeah. So I wanted to kick off with that because I think it makes sense for him. And just as a maybe I could have had this be a tidbit. I feel like I've done a lot of Universal horror films. I didn't realize, like, when you do a Universal horror film, I love that you can kind of, like, pick what logo you want. He originally wanted the logo from the 1980s at the very start of the film, but then we get this, like, icicle version instead. But I love that, like, if you work with Universal, you just get to pick.
That's fun that you get to
Like, you
choose
just get,
which one.
I want to go through the
That's
catalog of every
satisfying.
single.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was fun.
It reminds me of the, like, the weather getting worse on the Warner Bros. Logo on Harry Potter. Yes. You know, it has that kind of an energy to it. Yeah.
So fun. I love that they let you play with that. Speaking of Trick or Treat, we have some Trick or Treat Easter eggs that were sprinkled throughout the film.
That.
So in the movie, Max shares some candy from his like Halloween stash to comfort his cousins. Inside there is a lollipop that's very identical to the one used by Sam in Trick or Treat. We also have at the beginning of the film, the TV in the kitchen is showing like the news broadcast with the scroll saying "Season's Greetings," which is a nod to his 1996 animated short that then gave us Trick or Treat.
Yeah, that's so cute.
And the Easter eggs don't stop there, which I was trying to catch some of these. I have to go back and watch because I think I was just trying to like. I feel like when we're doing notes, for me to like
it's hard.
sit there and try, I'm just like, I gotta just watch the movie.
It's a lot to keep track of.
It's
all
a lot
the
to
time,
keep track of. Yeah, I feel like there's definitely one day when we have more time and we're not doing a million other things for work. I feel like I would love to do like my notes, watch it, and then like watch it again with doing notes
to be
again.
able to do a double.
So we have. I'm not sure if you caught any of these. Maybe you like subliminally will recognize. Hidden among the various snow globes at the very end of the film is the Psycho house, and Dougherty's own house. He put in there.
That's so cute.
I love that ending scene, which we'll talk about. When the power goes out on the street, there is also the Amityville house.
Genius.
Yep. And then the evil toys that attack the family included the angel ornament, a teddy bear, and the Jack in the Box, which is my absolute favorite.
The Jack in the Box
the
was
angel
really well done.
Yeah, it was so cool because it wasn't like creepy.
It was. I liked that it was
design.
Fleshy. It was a nice fleshy design.
Yeah. The noises it made were pretty gross too. But they're similar to the evil toys in the movie Demonic Toys from 1992. Only instead of having the evil angel ornament, it was an evil baby doll. So there was like a little nod to horror.
That's fun. That's really fun.
I feel like, again, the more I learn about Michael Dougherty, this all makes sense.
Yeah, it's very on brand for him.
It's like sprinkle.
Yeah.
So he was the main writer on this, of course, as he often is with his films that he directs. We also have Todd Casey, who wrote episodes of Vox Machina, a TV series, and the Avengers Assemble TV series.
Oh, interesting.
And then, there's a lot of like... as a nerd, I'm like, there's a
Yeah.
lot of like nerds that worked on this that I
Yeah.
was surprised by. We have Zach Shields that also wrote. He did Godzilla, King of Monsters, and Godzilla versus Kong, as well as
Oh.
some Trick or Treat verse projects that kind of exist out there too.
Aw.
So they have a working relationship.
Cool.
As we said, starring Adam Scott, Parks and Rec, Severance, which I think we get a new season
I
in
think you're right. I
January.
think so.
Party Down. I don't have any like.
Mm.
It was hard to find casting notes on this.
Also in The Good Place too. He's
oh my god,
he's the demon Trevor in The Good Place.
I have like 2 episodes of that second season left to watch. I've really been putting it off.
Oh my god.
That
Have
and
you
The
not
Boys, I've,
watched
like-
it all through yet?
No, I have like 2. Yeah, I have like literally 2 episodes I think left to
Oh, I
watch. and
can't-
I haven't finished it. So, that first season though, damn.
It just gets better and better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. We have Toni Collette, as I said, obviously Hereditary, Sixth Sense, Little Miss
Mhm.
Sunshine, Knives Out. David Koechner, is that how you say his name? Keckner. Wow. I've seen him live actually do stand up.
Oh.
Told a bunch of dad jokes, which I really
That
appreciated.
tracks.
Yeah. But I was like, this is wild knowing all of your characters that you played being so raunchy. And he had the
Yeah.
most like wholesome set I've ever seen. I think it was at the
Aw.
Improv in Hollywood.
What a sweetie.
Yeah, so obviously he was in The Office, Anchorman. And little fun fact about him is the film storyboard artist was actually drawing David into the drawings before the actor had even been considered for the role.
Oh my god.
So I love that he just inherently was
he
like
was just like that.
the storyboard artist. I
Just
wonder,
knew.
yeah, which will all make sense why they probably cast off of this. So we'll get
Yeah.
into that. I just think that's such a wild thing. You would think, oh, like the writer doing that would make sense.
Right. The
But
storyboard artist.
it will all
That's-
make
That's also a
sense.
lot of detail to put into your storyboards. I mean, I guess if you're
he's
it's
a pretty
Universal movie, you're paying a Hollywood storyboard artist.
There's a lot of
but-
there's a lot of storyboarding for this, which can be found like everywhere online.
Oh,
And if you think this
cool.
movie visually was really fun, the storyboarding is
Ugh, that's
extra
gonna be
fucking
so
cool.
satisfying.
We have
Okay.
Krista Stadler as Omi, and she's an Austrian actress. I tried to look up what she was in. It's like nothing I recognize. It's not a
all
lot.
Austrian.
I thought she looked like oh my god, why am I blanking? Carrie. Oh my god, why am I blanking on the actresses? Sissy Spacek.
Oh,
She had, like, her
does look a
mouth.
little like
Yeah. So, anyways, she was amazing. Loved her. She was a fucking vibe. She was actually cast at the last minute
Oh,
after
wow.
3 previous actresses bowed out from playing the role for like various
Oh my
reasons. So
God,
she was a
that's
very
terrible.
last minute, and I
And
think
she
she
did
was
wonderfully.
yeah. She was fucking just chilling that whole fucking time. She was like, I feel like she should have just been smoking a cigarette.
Honestly,
and,
yeah.
like,
What a
chilled in bed.
vibe.
Like the mom from the house
Yes,
mom from
Mrs.
Black
Mac.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say from Black Christmas.
Yeah.
Just fucking knock it back.
I think her name is Mrs. Mac.
Is
I
it?
think it's
I don't remember.
yeah.
I was also
Wh-
drinking.
Whatever the house mother is in Black Christmas.
If anyone saw what
yeah.
I posted, I was drinking Glog while watching
Loved
both of
that.
these. So,
Yeah. So
um,
so Christmassy of you.
we have Stevie and Beth. They were played by sisters Lolo and Stefania Owen. So I thought that was kind
Oh.
of fun. We have siblings.
I felt so called out by those two.
Why?
That was me as a little kid. Are you kidding me? The like extremely tomboyish, like
Oh, that's so wild.
oh yeah. Yeah. No, that was
That's so
I
funny.
was
I would have not-
fully that little kid in like cargo shorts. Like camo cargo shorts.
I was a big fan of like fleece vests as a child.
Oh,
It was
so
there was like
gay,
yeah.
so gay.
Listen, Old Navy, that was like their move. It was zip up
Mhm.
fleece vests, and I wore
Yep.
the shit out of my olive green one.
Oh my god.
Given the option of
Yep.
pink and olive green, I was like, that's
Yeah,
mine.
that
So I do
tracks for you.
understand.
Mhm,
That's
mhm.
so funny. 2 of the gingerbread men were voiced by Justin Roiland, who voices Rick
Oh.
on Rick and Morty. And he's, like, a general voice actor.
Yeah.
And, whoopsie, phone down. And Seth Green.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
short king,
Yeah,
short gingerbread
I
king.
Played true to size on
Yes.
screen. Yeah. I was like,
Slightly
obviously
larger than life on screen.
Yeah, actually, on the big screen, he was taller than. I love him. Nobody come at us for that. We love him.
I say it with
but
so much
yeah.
affection.
But yeah, Seth Green. So it makes sense. Robot Chicken, and
Yeah.
he voices a lot of things. But I'm just like you
Ugh.
wouldn't know because those things they're like high pitched up and stuff.
Oh,
so.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to like listen. And I was like, as soon as the gingerbread men started
Yeah.
talking, I was like, oh, there's no way I'm not gonna
Not
recognize.
Yeah.
In the end credits, we also have a special thanks to Peter Jackson, which I think is great.
Do we know why?
It's because big draw for Michael Dougherty was getting to work with Peter Jackson's crew and some of the effects teams that they have there, which I'll get into later.
Oh,
But
cool.
it was basically like, I think his chance to just like fanboy a little bit over and be like, special thanks, because he got to work with a lot of the crew members.
Did they shoot in New Zealand?
They did.
Oh, was this with Weta Workshop?
Yes, it was.
With my guy.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, you're the hot guy?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my
The
god.
hot
Why
one?
do I keep forgetting his name? Richard. Oh my god.
Oh my
I
god,
can't
that's so
remember.
funny.
But
Yeah.
he founded Weta Workshop. That was him. Yeah.
Well, he looks very different now on the website, so did not recognize. So sorry to say.
His hotness only lasted a while.
Yeah, it's okay. That's fine.
It's
As
fine.
you know,
Yeah. But it
you got to
was
go on
pretty well
personality and
lasted.
yeah. He's not unattractive. It's just I didn't recognize him. And then obviously, lastly, I want to give a little shout out that I thought was really cute with, especially with holiday films like this, or like I know like Barbie did the same thing too. But the Christmas photos at the end was all the cast and crew Christmas photos. Which boy, Santa Clauses are terrifying. I don't know why we subject children to doing that.
I was scared of sitting on Santa's lap as a kid. I
Yeah,
was not a fan of it.
I think my mom did it once
Yeah,
when I was
same.
like a baby and
Yeah.
had probably no idea what the fuck was going on. And
Yeah.
that was kind of it.
Yeah. I think my family gave up on that pretty fucking fast.
Yeah.
Realized
I-
I was not the kid for that.
Yeah. I went as an adult to the Grove and saw that Santa
Oh,
because he
cool.
looks like he looks like Santa. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it was so funny because I almost feel like he broke character because he tried to give like advice on Trav's allergic to horses and he started just giving me a list of like medications he could take. And I was like, wow, he really is Santa. He's like giving the gift of like things I
The
didn't
gift of
know.
knowledge.
Yeah. I thought that was so funny. So I do have a
Santa's bringing info this year.
yeah. I was like, damn, can you write that? Can one of your elves write that down really quick for me? Yeah. So I have a picture pouting on a Santa's lap.
That's so funny.
Moving on, marketing. I just thought I don't have a ton of information. I just thought it was interesting that the house Krampus is standing on in the movie poster is different from the house scene in the snow globe held by Krampus in like the other one. So I don't know. I just thought that was interesting of like why they changed the house up, especially
Yeah.
when Michael made it a point to put in kind of all these little references
Right,
to
to
other
have
homes.
the
So,
Amityville house and his
yeah.
own. And interesting.
and I feel like that poster too is all I've really seen
yeah.
of this film, which is so funny because I read a spoiler to the ending, kind of. I didn't realize when I was doing notes, and I was kind of bummed because I didn't know anything about this film. So I kind of had an idea of what it was going to end like. But seeing the ending and being like, bitch, they have that right on the poster the whole time.
Yeah.
And I didn't know. And I almost think that's so fucking cool
It's
and
kind of
genius.
satisfying.
Yeah, it's
like you
no
spoiled
fucking
it and
way.
it didn't even
But we didn't
matter.
know. I
Yeah.
feel like there's a couple other instances that movies that do that too.
Yeah.
And I kind of love it because it feels so cheeky and like you don't know
does.
what to expect from us.
I did write down a note.
Oh no.
The Lars von Trier version of Krampus would just end when the little kid falls into the burning pit, and that would be the last shot.
I made that. I go, oh look, it's little Jack. Why was that so? I literally watching the House of Jackville and then watching this. I was like, oh my god, sing these.
Literally, I was like, oh, and now they're gonna reverse it, and it's gonna be.
That's actually where Lars von Trier got his inspiration from.
I was inspired. I mean, this
thought
one
the
did come out
same
first.
Thing. I go, and then he grows up to be a little serial killer. So glad I forgot
Because he's
about
lost
that.
the spirit of Christmas.
He did. He saw his whole family die, and therefore he has to murder.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? The
Oh my
lore,
God.
so
Yeah.
deep.
It's the extended Jackaverse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
truly. I felt
Yeah.
the same thing. I was like, this makes sense.
Yeah.
In another universe, this is like
Mhm.
his lore. Oh my god, speaking of lore, that's weird. Krampus obviously is a huge part of Austrian and German folklore. I'm not going to go like too in depth of it because I feel like most people kind of know. Again, we
I feel
talked
like
about
if you listen to a horror podcast, you've like heard of Krampus.
and I'm going to be honest, like the idea is pretty black and white.
Yeah.
Like you don't
It's like
have
the
the spirit.
anti-Santa.
Yeah, which I love.
Yeah.
Everyone should have the Christmas spirit.
Yeah.
You know what I've noticed in 2024?
Hmm.
Nobody decorates for Christmas anymore. Barely anyone decorates for Halloween, but it's just like I never see Christmas lights. Or like holiday lights, I should say. Like
Bruh, come to Chimayo. It's crazy right
see,
now.
there's towns, you know who has them? If you're
Mhm.
going to Albuquerque,
Madrid.
all like the little, but even the towns right off the 25, like there's certain little
Yeah,
pockets
there's little
of like,
pockets that do a lot.
yeah. And I'm like, where is this
Yeah.
Santa Fe?
Mhm.
Where
Yeah,
is
Santa Fe's
this?
not doing
I don't
Santa's-
know. I hope
Santa
Krampus
has lost
comes.
the
I
Christmas
hope,
spirit.
I hope Krampus. See, we
For
need
somewhere that
Krampus.
has Santa in our name,
That's
we've
true.
lost the Christmas
I
spirit.
didn't think about that. I always fucking forget that. Come on, it's in the name.
We of all people should know better.
We should be the Christmassiest town
Yeah.
ever. Christmas, we have, oh my God, I'm hitting my mic because I'm so upset. Red, green, or Christmas?
Yes, it's our state question.
It's literally the state
official.
question. What the fuck, Santa Fe?
We
Damn.
have flying farolitos. Why are we not decorating better?
I feel like, yeah.
Come
So
on, Santa
thank
Fe.
you.
Yeah. Rant over.
Yeah, I just, oh my God, I highlighted, he's so hot. Krampus runs, we talked about it. Those are amazing. If you have not seen them, go on TikTok. Please go watch
So good.
You'll
We
get
love
it.
a Krampus run.
There's a few ways they kind of gave homage to like the Austrian culture in this film. When Tom speaks with his mother, he doesn't speak standard German, which it does say in the subtitles if you watch the subtitles, but it's Austrian dialect, which I thought was really interesting. I wish they would have, I don't know, I wish in subtitles as someone who always has them on, it was like put in there.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't inherently know that.
No,
So that was kind of like a little
interesting. Because I also watched with the subtitles on and didn't
and as someone who does
know.
not
Yeah.
speak any ounce of
Right.
German at
Right.
all or wouldn't know, I kind of liked that they did that. I thought it was interesting. Omi was originally deaf in the first draft of the script as opposed to Austrian, but they switched it. I know, isn't that funny? I don't know. I think they wanted to have some like this. I know it's like a wild sentence to say, and I don't mean it like that. I think they wanted to have some like separation where the family couldn't communicate as well with her.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And so that was the original. But then I'm like, how would that
just
have made her
such
like
a
maybe?
funny equivalent?
I know. Listen, I didn't write it. I'm just relaying the information to you all.
Don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah, please don't. Do send Krampus though. I think they just wanted to have that like. Here's that
makes sense.
tie-in again, which wild, and so glad there's first drafts for a reason.
So true. Yeah.
There's also the scene where the camera kind of pans out from a Christmas Carol movie playing on the TV. There's different Austrian desserts like on the table as well. So they kind of wanted to foreshadow that. And then in the last example that I have, Max's letter to Santa, he writes his full name as Max Engel, and that is German for the word angel, which also hints to the family's heritage as well. So there was little things sprinkled, which I'm like, yeah, if you didn't have any of that, just to be like an American family with no lineage, and the Krampus is here.
I think it's important that they are like Austro.
It would have been a very white person thing to do if we just like a white person, American white person.
American
thing to
white,
do.
yeah. The worst kind of white.
Good job, Michael. Thank you for doing what you should have done from the start. But that's fine.
You got there eventually. You got there in time.
Yeah. We also, many of the Krampus like minions are also real Christmas folk figures from European cultures. So we have like the Yule goat. And then we have some Icelandic names that I'm not reading.
Yeah. Don't blame you.
Like after the Icelandic Yule lads, which is so cute.
Yule lads.
Which visit homes each of the 13 nights before Christmas.
I want to visit from the Yule lads.
I know the Yule lads. It's our little band. We're little Yule lads today. I feel like I look like a fucking little Yule lad.
You
my
do look
goddamn
like a little
hat
Yule
right
lad.
now.
Yeah.
Look at the one ball for you.
Just ordinary podcasters. Movie, put on our hats one ball at a time.
One ball at a time, baby. Yep. The script, the goal of the film was to obviously tell this like modern day morality tale of Krampus tradition. Again, it's such like a black and white concept that I think it's really easy for anyone to work with. And they kind of wanted to have it as a part of response to what did they call it? They had like a term that I was like trying to figure out a different way to say this so I didn't steal it. But basically like the watered down retellings of classic tales. So obviously we have like a lot of Disney tales that tell folklore but paint it in a less scary picture than they should be told. Like that was never the intent. The intent is to scare children.
Yeah. I mean, Grimm's fairy tales. The originals are so scary.
They're so brutal.
Yeah, as they should be.
As they should be. So that's what Michael Dougherty felt too. He was like, this is my opportunity to not water this down for people and make it family friendly. So that's why, he wanted the R, but we got PG-13. The original outline of the film was said to have felt apparently too much like a horror film and relied on Krampus picking off people throughout the town, which I like that they
interesting.
kept it so isolated.
Yeah, that's smart. That's a good way to do it.
I feel like the beginning would have had to be a little bit different. It would have been cool hearing things on the news in the background, like maybe while the family was there, and maybe like a nod to changing the channel or something, because it's too could have been a fun way to do that. But they eventually kind of made it more into this Christmas movie and involving like Max's wish at the beginning too. So that's kind of how they kind of traversed that a little bit.
I loved the Advent calendar as countdown. I thought that was a cute.
It
little
reminds me
choice.
of Christmas Vacation, though. I feel like that's such like a point in Christmas Vacation. Anytime I see that close up on an Advent calendar, my brain just wants to like pull out and see Clark Griswold. You know what I mean?
Very true. Very true.
But I do love it. Do you have an Advent calendar? Do you do?
I do a chocolate.
I was gonna say, do you have? I don't know what you celebrate during the holidays.
Oh,
Both?
I celebrate everything.
Yeah.
The joy of being.
I realize you're Jewish, so I'm like, I don't know, but I know some people that celebrate
I do all
both.
of it.
Yeah.
I do all of it, baby. It's
Advent calendars
more
are
excuse
fun.
For more presents. Yeah.
We did a Halloween one too.
I love that.
Yeah, because I just feel like
That's so
it's just an
cute.
excuse to eat treats every single day.
I start every day with a pastry anyway. So like
You do.
So I love a little
People
morning
don't know.
treat. Yeah, that's.
People don't know. Sienna loves a little treat in the morning.
I love a little morning treat.
Yeah.
I need sugar to motivate me out of
so
bed.
cute.
It's the only way I can get up in the morning.
It actually brings me joy that I know that's what you eat every day.
Every day. Bear claw, baby.
Yeah.
That's how I get out of bed.
Honestly, you're starting your day correct.
Yes.
People should be doing that every morning. I have a donut waiting for me after.
Love that.
The donut incident of this year. I'm not eating a donut before, because remember when I coughed so much I couldn't get through the podcast?
Can't have
so-
a pre-podcast donut.
Yeah, my treat comes after.
Pastry. Let me give you a quick little Christmas breakfast tip from my mom. If you're an oatmeal person, make your oatmeal with ice cream instead of milk.
Stop it. God damn, the two of you are really living life.
Yep.
Damn.
Yeah. Me and my mom.
Do you make it hot?
Yeah. I make the oatmeal hot and then like scoop ice cream
And it
into
just
it.
like
And it melts in. Highly recommend rum raisin in particular.
Oh my God, I
goes
love
really well
that.
with it. But like any sort of like a vanilla base ice cream in oatmeal.
I love that.
That was like a Christmas morning tradition in my family.
Oh my God, stop. I love that.
A little Christmassy treat for you.
That's
So like you
great.
feel healthy because you're still getting all of the oatmeal benefits,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you
You
also
get
get the ice cream
Yeah, I
benefits.
love lying to myself too.
Yeah. That's what I'm here for.
That's so cute. Oh my God, I love that. I don't know where to segue from there.
Sorry, guys. Weird tidbit.
I don't have any Christmas treats for anybody. I do have tidbits
Only
though.
Krampus.
Yeah. Oh, here's where we get into some of the quotes from Michael.
So
actually,
cute.
was it? It's that. I forgot that I have these quotes that I'm really happy about. So, talking why Michael kind of, I think where his sense of this film and like where the direction of this film was coming from. I found some quotes from him again in a really some really amazing interviews. He talks about growing up in Ohio and how they had a lot of blizzards there. As someone who's from Michigan, totally feel that. And went to school in Chicago. He talks about all the stormy weather and it seems so peaceful, which it is. It's so peaceful and quiet. But he also realized how eerie that calm can be. And so I love that that's inherently like directly what kicks off this film is what most of us like. I'm dying for a fucking another like 3 days of snow here. I don't want to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Again, not when you're filming, but I want it now. I woke up this morning, literally shot up and looked out and I was like, because it looked frosty out and I was like, no. Like I wanted it to be snowing so bad. But there is like this calmness, but also this spookiness because it's just like too much calm puts me right back to being uncomfortable. So that's where it comes from for him. And I have a quote from him. He says, "There was just something about the contrast of these dark, cold, quiet winter nights with these sparkling, twinkling Christmas lights that I always thought set the ground for some potentially really scary."
I love that. You know what I think part of it is because the snow dampens sound so much that
It feels like you're in this like what do they call it? What's those little immersion tanks?
Oh, like a sensory deprivation chamber. Yeah, well, because it's like you've lost partial access to one of your senses, and it throws off your spatial orientation.
Do you love it though?
Oh, I love it.
Just standing in the middle of like a
Absolutely love
forest when it's like super snowy is
it. Well, it feels like everything's cushioned.
yeah. There's also again, not to get too off topic, I have like a whole quote of his to read, but there is this room that they'll pay you like $5 million to sit in for like, what is it, like an hour, but most people can't because it the way it like holds, like you can't really hear anything, and the way it just takes away that sense.
Yeah, I would be dead.
Most people
couldn't do it.
can't do it more than a few minutes. I
I
don't know why,
wouldn't
like
make it
I'm
that
gaslighting
long.
myself to think I could.
I feel like you could. I feel like you've got
feel like
like the mental fortitude that you'd be able to.
I'd like to think.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I know I
Who
don't
knows?
have it. I know.
If I
for a
do, I'll
fact
share
I
the
don't have
winnings
it.
with you.
Great, perfect.
I like being alone with my own thoughts. So he goes on to say, so it's that, and then also the neighborhood the movie was created. He created it digitally, so they populated it with several homages, which I talked about, from a bunch of famous 80s movies
Love it.
houses.
Oh.
The Engels live in between the Amityville Horror House and the National Lampoon's Vacation Home.
Of course they do.
Which I think like that is
That's-
this movie.
Yep.
And Ferris Bueller's in the
my
neighborhood too.
God,
So,
that's so funny.
he basically, so
What
he paid
interesting
tribute.
choice. I thought it was going to be all horror movies after Amityville, but no. Interesting.
I think this man just likes,
He just likes an
I feel
Easter
like
egg.
he's like a little goodie bag you just shook up and then you
Yeah.
just pull out random things.
Yeah, like a
He's like a
trick-or-treat
comic book person too, so I feel like
Mhm.
just pop culture references in general is like his jam. What did he say? Oh yeah, so he pays tribute, and then he was like, I love that he questions. He's like, I think we're good on the copyright ?
Oh my
So
God.
he thinks he got away with them. They also made a point of having the first act of this film. Like I said, they were worried about being too horror. They wanted the first act to be really Christmassy, and so it is a traditional Christmas movie to start, and then kind of turns towards this dark fantasy.
Mhm.
Michael said he watched a lot of Christmas movies during this time because he wanted that kind of be
That
the
vibe,
influence for
yeah.
him. And so he also then started to watch a bunch of horror movies. The Thing was one of the ones he cited.
Snow horror.
Yeah. So he watched, he said like every horror film that took place during winter, he sat down and watched
Love
for this.
that. Love that.
And then kind of talking about balancing those two genres, he said, quote, it was a lot of repeat viewings and those old classic Christmas movies to make sure that everything from the set decoration to the costumes felt like Christmas. And then really to make it creepy, you just had to kill all the lights and bring the blizzard. I think there's just something more unnerving about the contrast. What was cute when the lights were on suddenly becomes ominous when you turn off those lights.
So true.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah, that's why when the daughter wants to walk down to like visit her boyfriend during the thing, I'm like,
No.
do you want to?
Yeah.
Like, I get it, but like,
if it were me, I would not be leaving the house. I mean, I'm also gay, but like, to be
the gays
fair,
don't go in snow. What the- I actually want to know where. Sorry, go on. Tell us more.
I just meant like me as a high schooler. If I'd been like going to see my high school boyfriend, I
Yeah.
also would not have left because I wouldn't have wanted to like go out in the cold. And then I'm like, well, but you're gay. You wouldn't have like,
Yeah.
the guy wouldn't have been any motivation. So,
Yeah. You're like, he's fine.
He's fine. Yeah.
He'll be
Or
good.
he's not.
He's not.
He's either fine
Either
or he's
way.
not.
I don't want
Either
to be
way,
cold
I'm
about
gonna
it.
stay warm. Like,
I got my ice cream oatmeal here.
yes,
Why would I leave the home?
exactly.
I love that so
I have
much.
everything I need.
I love that so much. Same. Also, just someone who didn't like to be cold. There was like
Yeah.
no way you're getting me out of that.
No,
house. I
I'm
was too
staying where
terrified to
it's
drive in the
warm.
winter
Ugh,
in Michigan.
yeah.
And like, I feel like once I had my car just go like pew pew pew,
Oh,
like
yeah.
and slide around, I was like, you know what?
No.
I'm good.
Yeah. And she
Stay
walks.
inside.
I wouldn't even walk out.
Oh, I would absolutely not walk. I wouldn't
No.
have the proper attire.
No, absolutely not. I don't care if it's 4 blocks. I'm not going.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah. He does have a candy cane bong though, which would have motivated high school Siena. So I do take that part
Ooh.
back.
Yeah,
there would have been
yeah,
some debate
that
in
actually
high school
checks.
Siena's mind. So
If the pull was strong enough, you would have
Yeah.
been like,
Yeah.
the bong.
yeah, for the bong, not the boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a shirt.
New merch.
Here's where I get into why I think the storyboard artist and the storyboarding had it had a lot to do with this film.
Makes sense.
So Michael kind of talked about, like I said, he had a lot of visual components going alongside the writing of this film.
Mhm.
So it didn't come afterwards. It was coincided with writing of the script, which I
Cool.
think is really fun and cool. He said, in particular for the genre films like Krampus, the concepts can be very weird and big and like hard to explain or put on paper. So he had the visuals kind of help him with that, and a lot of stills that he collected around that. And said even when he was with the co-writers, Todd and Zach, brainstorming, he would kind of just be in the corner doodling alongside and sketching these ideas. And so when they first sent the spec script to the producers, he actually included a bunch of these drawings so they can kind of get an idea.
That's so cool.
And I think that's why
I'm sure that
they they could get the full picture. And I think in something like this where it sounded like it was a little bit hard for them to convey, you know, this thing that they didn't want to R, but obviously it was really twisted. And Michael Dougherty like has done things, but I also think he's a weird director.
He lives in an odd tonal space.
Yeah, and I don't know if he necessarily like, I mean, obviously this proved to be a huge box office success, but I don't know. He feels like a weird director writer for me. He lives in that space.
I imagine it being kind of like a love it or hate it type of thing.
Yeah,
from an executive perspective.
For
like,
sure.
You get it or you don't. Yeah.
So he sent that along. I don't have much about like the producers, but so they didn't screen this for any audiences or critics before. They just sent it to the studio to obviously look at. And I love, for once, I agree with the studio. Their only comment, or one of the big comments that they had, was cut back on the baby crying.
Oh my God, that's
which
so
I
funny.
really appreciate.
Thank God. Yeah, because
if there would have been any more than that, I can't do it.
Could not have stood it.
Yeah. So love them for that.
Wise. Good call.
Getting into some of the production. The opening sequence was shot on location on a single day at a department store. Man, we don't do Black Friday like that anymore, and I kind of miss seeing the because I've never been a Black Friday person. Ever.
So scary to me.
Yeah, I don't know why you would.
Why would you want
capitalism, man? Really got us by the throat.
Yeah.
Hopefully not anymore. But.
Again, too gay for that.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm good.
I'm gonna stay home with my ice cream
mobile. For the
read
my fan fiction. So that was the only location that they shot on. The rest was done on studios, or on sound stages, which I thought was really interesting. It makes sense, I suppose. It's like this house, but the fact that like even the street scenes, like everything, there was a lot of digital aspects to this film.
It felt like there were. Like,
I thought it was going to look visually way worse than it did.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah,
actually.
I thought it was going to be.
I've seen a lot of 2015 CGI that's been much worse. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I thought I wasn't going to be able to get past it, and I was.
Yeah,
I'm very happy.
it wasn't distracting, which is usually my.
The only bad thing was actually the gingerbread men.
The gingerbread men were bad.
They could have I'm like, I don't know. They looked so fake compared to the rest of it.
Yeah, well, especially
the angel was great.
I couldn't tell whether the gingerbread men were supposed to be made of real gingerbread or not, and that was a problem.
They should have.
It looked.
They looked like doughy and airy. Huh?
Yeah, I was like, are they supposed to be felt? Like what are they?
What material?
And the fact that I can't tell is a bad sign.
Yeah, that was the only bad effect in that. That actually, I feel like that was the only part I would be pulled out.
Which is weird because like you would expect it to be like the mouth coming out of the Jack-in-the-Box or something. Like those are much more complicated effects.
But that was more practical and they just got lazy. I don't know. Oh, I thought this was really cool because we talked about this for the thing and like getting the breath and how the producers wanted to put them in a freezer and then they realized like all those things that happened. So the visible breath that we see in the cold exteriors was done digitally, but a major component, they actually put people in freezers and then like had them do dialogue for the scenes. And so they had their breath isolated for stuff. So they did digitally, but it was real breath that they like put, which is
that they like matted that in. That's fast.
Does
I've
it
not
feel
heard
like
of that being done before. That's
it feels
really
like it's doing the most.
Yeah, that feels like the best way to go about
I can't say I remember a single breath in that movie either.
Well,
but I just thought that was so funny because it was such a struggle for the thing.
Interesting. That seems like a really smart choice, just because I imagine even though you're not thinking about it as you're watching people talk, the way you move your mouth on different sounds is going to change the shape of the cloud of air coming out of your mouth, and that's going to be real tough to animate if you're doing all that digitally.
And the time and making it look real and to do that for like half the movie.
That would be a nightmare.
So I'm sure it saved them a lot of time and money, but I've never heard of that before. I thought it was really weird. Obviously, like I said, all the houses in the neighborhood are also digital. Oh yeah, they called putting all those houses. I forgot to put this up earlier. I don't know why. They called it adding quote secret occult imagery into the movie. So
Love
I just
that.
like that they were
That's so
kind of a little
cute.
chortle about it.
Yeah.
We have a lot of fake snow in this film, obviously as
Oh,
well.
mine too. They apparently there
What'd
was
you use?
not enough snow, and they used like a foam material from the
Oh.
police station. That then the next
Oh.
year, when the grass grew back, they said that it grew back greener in the places that the fake snow had been. Which
Ew, I
seems
don't like
scary.
that.
Yeah. What was yours?
Material from diapers.
Ew.
I know.
I hate that.
I know.
I hate that.
Yeah. So
Gross.
now when I watched Black Christmas 2, all I can think of now when I see fake snow is just like
Diapers.
diapers.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't think they pulled it from diapers, but
But it's
like
the-
the
whatever's
process of
made
making
for
it.
it,
Yeah.
yeah.
So sorry I didn't write it down.
Hate that.
Y'all can look that up if you're
Hate
interested.
that.
I didn't want my search history to be anything about children or
Fair,
diapers.
yeah.
So
You don't want those ads coming.
Yeah.
Ugh.
finally we're getting, I think, to my last part, which is the Krampus creature design.
So good.
Is it Weta Workshop?
I don't know if it's pronounced Weta or Weta, but
Yeah,
it's
with the
W-E-T-A.
awesome- Okay, everybody
Yeah.
shrugged. Yeah. So Weta
Yeah.
Workshop was obviously responsible for the creature designs in this film. If you don't know who they are, they're an award-winning concept design and manufacturing facility founded by Richard Taylor.
That's
Richard
him.
Taylor.
I was like, I
and
know it's
Tanya-
Richard. What's the last name?
There we
Taylor.
go.
Richard Taylor.
That's so I didn't put
Yep.
2 and 2 together. And
That's
Tanya
my
Roger
boy.
in 87,
Oh.
obviously in New Zealand. So
Mhm.
that's so funny. Didn't realize it was
Mhm.
fucking
Yeah, Dead Alive, baby.
Oh my god, that makes so
Yeah.
much sense. Obviously most known for Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, Dark
Mhm.
Crystal, Labyrinth, Gremlins, Stranger Things, and like their website's awesome. I poked through a lot.
They're also the ones who worked on X and Pearl too, I believe.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm. They do everything.
they do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I was Michael, I'd be like so fucking stoked. So
Oh my
that's
God,
why
yeah.
Peter Jackson was mentioned earlier.
Makes sense.
Because he could.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, according to the source Film New Zealand, about 300 New Zealand based cast and crew were involved on this production, which also employed more than 500 craftsmen associated with Weta.
Wow.
And Weta provided the physical effects for the makeup,
Uh-huh.
the specialty costumes, the specialty props, and the
Wow.
creatures for Krampus.
Aw.
And they helped to design and refine the handheld. What did I write here? That feels like it doesn't make sense. Oh, all the components to make the 6-meter like sleigh for Krampus as
Oh,
well,
interesting.
as well as like the chains and the bells and
Yeah.
the human remains.
Oh,
So basically everything.
love that.
But just thought run down because I think my concept of what they did and how I think they do
Yeah.
way more than I thought that they
That's
did.
really. I
So.
would have expected more of that to be digital than it
Uh-huh.
was. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I think I'm okay with the digital.
Mm-hmm.
I hate
Because
things being
it's-
so digital like that. I'm gonna be honest, it's like one of my
I do
least favorite
too.
things. But the character designs were so good, it was all forgiven.
Yeah, it's backed up by enough physical, practical
Yeah.
effects.
The
that I think-
angel
yeah.
was my favorite.
Yeah.
So I have a quote from your boy now.
Richard
Which
Taylor.
I didn't know that was your boy at the time, who said he was thrilled to have been involved on the production, and then it took him back to his like horror film roots. He said,
Aw,
he said,
there you go,
quote,
because of Brain Dead.
yeah. So he said, quote, "This is a classic 80s monster movie. This is fantastic stuff. It's what we live for and what gets us up in the morning. It's still hand-operated, rod-controlled puppetry. It throws you straight back into the
Just
early
like
days
Baby
of...
Selwyn.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, he said it
Aw.
throws you straight back into making movies, and that's just a special place to be. So I
That's so
appreciate
cute.
I
That's so
appreciate that. That's so I hate
cute.
that I did not know that was the
Oh my God.
same guy.
That gives me more of an excuse to thirst over Richard
Yeah,
Taylor.
yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
So I think it's cool that he was happy to do this again. Michael also said in an interview that he was a huge fan of Weta, obviously.
Mhm.
I am so sorry I keep going back and forth of how I'm pronouncing it.
I got us here.
Weta. He said, quote, "It was a thrill. It was an honor. I've been a huge fan of them for years, going all the way back to Peter Jackson's early films. Specifically, he mentioned Meet the Feebles, which he describes as a raunchy Muppet movie.
Yeah.
I have not seen it.
But that's the other one that he and
Mhm.
Richard worked on
Yeah.
together before Brain Dead. Yeah.
We know the name because the name's
Yeah.
weird.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
But and then he goes on to say, quote, been a fan of theirs since then. Clearly there was a mutual love of twisted puppets. Yes. It's always
Twisted
nice to be able
puppet.
to I feel like a twisted puppet sometimes.
Same.
He says it's always nice to be able to work with people that you're a fan of, and making
Mhm.
movies really allows you to do that. They had to drag me out of the creature shop daily, kicking and screaming
Oh
because
my
I
God.
just didn't want to leave. Same.
I love that. That's so cute.
Yeah, and I'm rounding this out. Oh my gosh, how am I talking longer than you today? So Krampus's final design was distilled from various postcards and illustrations of the creature over the years, which I think is fun. And Michael,
Which also I'll shout out, there's always good Krampus themed postcards and ornaments and stuff at the Crow's Nest.
yeah, in Santa Fe. We love
Mhm.
Rose at the Crow's
We love
Nest.
Rose.
If
And
you guys
Rose-
haven't been able to tell,
And Rose loves a Krampus. So
she
if
has
you're
one
looking for
Krampus bell left. I might swing by today and see it because I was really bummed that I saw it last night. She had a Krampus bell, and I was like,
Ugh.
"Fuck that I didn't go get that yesterday and bring it here
No,
today."
That would have been so perfect.
That's how I could have started my segment. Yeah, so I'm gonna
Bring
go
us
see.
in.
Yeah,
Ugh.
bring us in. Yeah, so I was really bummed. So yeah, they pulled all the design over so many reference photos that they had to their disposal. Michael goes on to talk about how the creatures were drawn from folklore and actual Krampus myth and legends and old Krampus cards. I did research where I looked into hundreds of different Krampus
Oh
postcards.
my God.
There are some that showed him with sidekicks like snowmen or toys, which I love the snowmen in this,
Yeah.
that come to life in the film. Whether it's the look of it or the concepts themselves, they were drawn from actual Krampus folklore. So he didn't really
Mhm.
take too much liberty on his own.
Cool.
Getting to the face of Krampus, the film's Krampus is intentionally designed to be shadowed and cowled like that, kind of to resemble death, which I love. It also reminded me of The Village. That side,
You're right.
all hunched. I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, why does
It
that
is
remind me of?
very
And little
Village.
hands. So
Mhm.
I don't know if that comes from
That's
Krampus
really
folklore too.
interesting.
Now that I'm thinking
I can
about
see
it.
that. That feels like the sort of thing that
Yeah.
I might draw inspiration
So love that. And also the face we see, their kind of take on it. I'm sure I don't know if this is their take on it or takes that have happened along folklore history.
Got it.
But that was designed to basically be an insult of wearing this like kind of deranged Santa mask on the demon. So that's not the demon's face. It said that he's wearing the mask of Santa.
Oh, that's
as
fucked.
kind
I
of this
love
like,
that.
yeah,
That's
which I'm like,
satisfying.
I get that. So he's probably a hottie underneath.
Yes.
The one that
He's
we know
Black
love.
Phillip underneath.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of fun. And he said it was to allow viewers to kind of make up what Krampus really looks like to them, and this was just an added layer. So it's like a masked, like the trope of having a masked killer.
Love that.
One of the guys who controlled Krampus said he was like inside controlling him, and his name's Luke Hawker. He said, quote, with leg, arm, and finger extensions under the suit, weighed over half my body weight. Seeing the world through nothing more than a tiny camera hidden in the head created some hurdles in terms of performance and balance.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's a pretty big thing to have some person in there.
Yeah.
Trying to fucking move around in that. So fun.
Terrifying.
But I just thought that was a funny little bit.
There must be some great behind the scenes bloopers of like
I know,
Krampus
I tried to
falling
watch
over.
like making of anything and I didn't see it, but I might have to get the DVD and see
that
if there's
makes sense.
something.
Yeah.
We also have composer Douglas Pipes, who described the music as, quote, a collection of twisted Christmas carols with pagan thrown in. And then he said he incorporated the sounds of chains, bells, bones, and animal skin drums into the score, as well as having a choir chant and whisper in different tongues to give the music that eerie kind of tone that we get from it, and then that we see throughout the film. And then finally getting to the ending. The ending was what I thought I had spoiled, because I saw someone say that it reminded them of the ending of Jeepers Creepers.
Oh.
And I was like, fuck, why did
Don't
I
tell
read
me
that?
Yeah.
But it did remind me of the ending. Have you seen Jeepers
I haven't
Creepers?
seen, but I don't
wanna
mind a
spoil
spoiler.
it.
I don't spoil it. I don't mind a spoiler.
You'll know when we watch it, because I got to bully you to watch it. I think I've been avoiding wanting to talk about it because now I know the director's a fucking
oh yeah.
pedophile.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ugh, I really don't want to
Yeah, give him the time.
Yeah, but I love
Spoil
that
it for
movie,
me.
So no, it's okay.
Okay.
We'll watch it.
All right.
So I saw that. I didn't expect the ending that I saw, but I knew like something was
Interesting.
coming. So I know Trav was asking this earlier, like I need to talk about the ending, like we need to talk about that. So
Mhm.
there's kind of two fan theories, but Michael kind of gives you like what the intent was for
Mhm.
him. So the first one is that the Engels and their family are trapped in the snow globe,
Mhm.
condemned to repeat Christmas morning for eternity in this like twisted version of hell, which I
Mhm.
love.
Mhm.
Two is that they were given a second chance, and the snow globe is Krampus's like means of watching over them, because they actually like Max stood up to them. They do
Mhm.
believe in the Christmas spirit now, although Michael Dougherty has refused to confirm which theory is true. But he does have a tie-in comic book called Shadows of Saint Nicholas that you can read, which confirms that the happy ending is the true one, at least for him.
Oh.
But I like that he like
He leaves it
you can do what you
ambiguous.
want.
Yeah.
I think they're in a twisted version of hell. The comic has in the comic they have murdered the characters and resurrected without any hint of a twist, kind of showing that Krampus is willing to give people a second chance, like they did with
Interesting.
Omi, as long as they prove they've learned their lesson. But unlike the unlike that, the grandmother Max was brave enough to confront him, and then like I don't think we don't see Omi at the end, do we?
I
Do
don't
we
think
see her at the end? We do see her at the end.
do.
Okay. But yeah, again, Doherty says like the cynical version, he's like, that's all well and good and still possible in an
Mhm.
interpretation, but he's like, that's not like the point of
That's
my
not my
Krampus.
interpretation.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then if you want to see an extended cut of this, it's called the Naughty Cut, which I love.
God damn it.
It was released by Scream Factory in 4K. And apparently has an alternate version that has some key dialogue and scenes added back in that were trimmed because the MPAA.
PG-13.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So I want to watch that version just to see
I'm
how different it
curious.
is. And
Well, so then we can know what his version,
Yeah.
his R-rated version would look like.
Yeah,
Because
so-
it's probably just that. Yeah.
I want to see it.
Interesting.
I don't have much on critics review and audience response. I don't feel like this is a film that really needs to be like talked about in that way.
Yeah.
It's a 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb and a 66% on Rotten Tomatoes. So
That's good.
yeah, I think it's just, I don't know, in the same way like we can talk about Christmas movies.
Mhm.
It's just fun.
Yeah.
It was less funny than I thought in a good way, considering like who was in it.
It was more straight horror than I was
Mhm.
expecting. Yours
Yeah.
was more straight horror. Mine was funnier than I expected.
Yeah. They were kind of like a twist. So
yeah. Just made them a good pairing. I
Yeah.
thought they watched well together.
yeah, they did.
Yeah.
What'd you rate? I mean, I'm sure you're not gonna rate anything super
I
high.
would say probably like a 3.
Yeah, that feels
Yeah.
fair.
That,
I think
yeah.
I'd give it a 5 for like I can't wait to watch it every Christmas. Not because it was
tracks.
great,
That tracks.
but just because it was like
Yeah.
if you're really wanting to watch horror,
If you're looking for Christmas,
but you really
horror,
want a Christmas movie,
Yeah.
this is like
it hits
in a
all
way.
the beats.
Yeah, I wasn't
It hits all
expecting it
the
to be so
Christmas beats.
Christmassy.
Yeah, it's
So
very
yeah.
Christmassy.
Anyways,
Yeah.
that's that on that.
I
I'll
love
shut up
that.
now.
Well, a nice festive episode.
This was fun. These were so
Yeah.
fun to watch around
It
this
was
time
really
of year.
cozy.
Yeah.
And this is coming out on the 23rd, so I hope people
Yeah,
are
happy holidays.
Yeah, which I think the
I think
23rd
Hanukkah starts like the 26th too.
something like that. And
Yeah,
I think
so-
the 23rd is Festivus, so this is coming out on Festivus Day.
Oh my gosh. And you kicked us
Which
off
we
that way.
love. Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, happy holidays, you guys.
Yeah,
Thank
happy
you so
holidays.
much. You got us to 1,000
Oh my god, yeah.
followers on Instagram, which is really exciting.
Yeah, it was fun to see.
And it's been
We're-
popping off since then, which is
Yeah.
kind of wild to see.
Yeah, we're
as
growing
well.
in a way that
Yeah.
I'm like, hi
Yeah.
everybody. Hi,
Hi.
new listeners.
It's frightening.
Yeah.
But we're glad that you're finding us.
Yeah. Next
yeah.
episode?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We just decided.
we
I almost
just
forgot what I
decided,
was gonna do.
Truly. So we put up a little poll. As happened with our previous episode, by the time this is out, the poll will be over.
Yeah,
So,
sorry. You don't get to vote anymore.
You don't get a say.
The next one maybe.
So we told you already what Al is covering.
Oh yeah, Interview with a Vampire.
Yes. And results of the poll / polling our room here,
Mhm.
we decided that we're going to go for 2 horny vampire movies.
Yeah.
So I'm
To
gonna
warm you up during January.
exactly. Oh, I love that.
Mhm.
Yeah, to keep you nice and toasty.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take the 1992 masterpiece Bram Stoker's Dracula by Francis Ford Coppola,
Yeah.
which I am a diehard defender of, and I'm gonna tell you why.
I know, and I haven't seen either.
Which I'm so excited.
I'm not like a
for.
huge vampire person. I think I've said that on here before. Not
Mhm.
because I don't think it's just never hit in a
I
way
feel
with me.
like-
So I'm excited to watch these two because the stills I've seen from yours, and then like I feel like even if you've never seen it, like I know so much about Interview with a Vampire. So I'm interested to know like the full
I feel like they're both gonna be, and I haven't.
Sorry.
Neither of us have seen Interview with a Vampire, but I feel like they're going to be
Oh, we're gonna be.
really
I'm
up
gonna be
your
obsessed
alley.
with both. It's gonna be
Yeah.
a personality trait after
Mhm,
this.
mhm, 100%.
If you want to see Interview with a Vampire, like we said, JeanCocteauCinema.com. Tickets are on sale now for you
Yeah.
to see it on the big screen. Any other things? Why
think
do I
that's
feel
the
like I'm
only
forgetting?
thing.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Lauren Langford, who's looking. Oh no,
Yeah.
why are we thumbsing up? Oh,
no. We don't know how to respond to that.
Thanks for the thumbs. Thanks, Travis Fowler. Thanks,
Yeah.
Theo Schaefer.
Yeah.
I trust you all over there right now.
It alarms me when I hear you guys giggling to each
Yeah,
other.
giggle and they look at us.
Yeah, that feels like something bad is about to happen.
We're gonna put them in like behind these mics one of these days.
One of these days we're gonna put them in
And
a
then we're gonna be
snow globe.
giggling. Yeah. Then we're gonna be giggling and laughing like Krampy.
Yeah, then we'll just hold them in our hands
Just
and
shake it
laugh
up a
at
little
them.
bit.
Shake it up. Yep. Yeah.
Oh
That's
man,
all right.
we would be so evil.
Picture a little Warren snow globe with him just like at the producer's desk with his little headphones on.
Oh my god, I love that image so much. I try with a little camera.
Yeah. With a little slice of Santa Fe logo.
Yeah.
Oh.
Until then, with that
Yeah.
imagery in your head.
So sorry, guys. That means nothing to you. It means something to us.
Thanks for listening to Splice Splatter.
The film podcast presented by the Jean Cocteau Cinema in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where classic horror.
It's modern gore.
And until next time,
We'll be right back.